Chapter 41:20. When Chen went deeper with Little Fairy, he returned to the canyon. This place was an important resource for the Holy Thunder clan, so the preparations must be in place. There were already formation masters setting up a teleportation array here that led directly to the celestial crystal mine. Although everyone could leave directly from here, the teleportation between each other was still necessary because they would go deeper and deeper. The entrance to this place could only be the celestial crystal mine, although building the teleportation array would consume a lot of resources. This kind of investment was still necessary. Chen had recruited a lot of people this time, and there were talents in all fields, so he didn't need to do it himself. He just needed to give instructions. The teleportation array was being built in an orderly manner. Chen and Little Fairy left the Blood Dragon Canyon. Except for some spies, there were very few people outside the canyon. It seemed that everyone had accepted that the Holy Thunder clan had obtained a great opportunity this time. The Vestigial clan didn't launch another attack. They seemed to have approved of Chen's suggestion, but it was also possible that they were planning something. As for the other 7 directions, the battle was still going on. Maybe it was because Chen had taken a good lead, but the leaders of the other 7 directions no longer showed up alone. Every time they appeared, they would bring a group of 3 Vestigial clan members, not giving other forces a chance to kill them. Relatively speaking, Chen's direction was the safest. The person who pretended to be the leader last time left. After the other Vestigial clan members returned, they were still confused because they weren't sure when the team had such a leader. But the other party was a real Vestigial clan member, so they didn't care too much about it. The Vestigial clan member who pretended to be the leader returned to the depths and saw the real ruler of this battle. Tse, why are you here? The other party was a little surprised. Tse said, Orton Aosen died in battle. Oh, Orton raised his eyebrows. Tse said, the other party only used one move. Orton's expression couldn't help but change. He killed Ao-san with one move? As the leader under him, Orton knew very well how powerful Ao-san was. Even if there were experts among the enemy, they shouldn't be this strong. I've asked them to retreat. As for whether you want to send more people out to kill them, that's up to you. Tess said the one who killed Ao-san was a leader called Chen. It is said that he came from a place called the Holy Thunder clan. He wanted to negotiate with Ao-san, but Ao-san wanted to kill him to show his power. What is there to negotiate between us and the invaders? Orton said coldly. This is a battle of life and death. Tess continued. At the time, Chen also said that if we were willing to go to his world, he wouldn't mind providing us with a new base. Uprooted? Orton mocked. Our ancient remnant clan is not so weak that we need others to pity us. It's up to you what you think, but I think you still need to understand the current situation. What situation? We must kill all the invaders. Tez shook his head and said, yes, they are invaders, but why don't you think about how they came to our world? This is the will of the heavens. Our mission has been completed. Is this your idea, or the ancient remnant clans? Or the fallen clans? Orton stared at Tez. This is just my personal opinion. You Arcana race people love to fight and are the best warriors in the world. But the current situation has changed, so I think it's best if we restrain ourselves. When he saw that Orton was about to explode in anger, Tez said, sometimes restraining ourselves isn't called fearing battle. It's called preserving our strength. How many people have you lost after so many years of fighting? After Tez left, Orton fell into deep thought. He wasn't an idiot and could understand the meaning behind Tez's words. What did you say? Chen stared at the small fairy and said, you said that the resources you discovered were in the ancient remnant clan's territory. That's right, the small fairy said. Otherwise, why would I only charge you 20 soul-gathering crystals? Chen's expression shifted. If the resources were really in the ancient remnant clan's territory, Then they would have to force the ancient remnant clan to leave if they wanted to obtain them. But would the ancient remnant clan leave so easily? Would they directly start a war? Then his previous promise would be broken, and there would be no more trust between the two sides. Upon seeing Zi Chen's changing expression, the small fairy said, "Do you want them? If you don't, then I'll go and devour them myself." Zi Chen said, "Let's go take a look first." The man and the fairy began to delve deeper. Along the way, Zi Chen would deliberately avoid people from other forces. He didn't want others to know that he had already left the Blood Dragon Canyon. Along the way, Zi Chen would also release his perception to investigate a few places that might contain opportunities. There were a few areas where Zi Chen felt that he might be able to reap some benefits. But after the small fairy's further investigation, he decided to give up. The ore veins were too small. Once they were mined, they wouldn't be able to sustain the losses. And the small fairy had intentionally marked these ore veins so that it could devour them. Without any obstacles, Zi Chen traveled for 10 days before arriving at the area that the small fairy had mentioned. "Are you sure that there are ancient remnant clan members here?" Zi Chen had some doubts because this place was extremely remote, and he couldn't see the slightest path along the way. How could the ancient remnant clan survive in such a place? Even if they weren't human, the living habits of both sides hadn't changed much. The small fairy didn't bother to answer Zi Chen's question, and just moved forward cautiously. Zi Chen also held his breath, and at the same time spread his soul power around. Gradually, he found some unusual auras. There were indeed ancient remnant clans. Cautiously coming to a high ground, Zi Chen looked ahead and saw a city hidden under a giant tree. Just like in his own world, the city was covered by trees that blotted out the sky and the sun, and even its aura was blocked. If it wasn't Zi Chen, but someone else, they might not be able to perceive the abnormality here. Such a hidden city should have a large population. What if he could make them migrate? Start a war? Relying on the Holy Thunder Clan's strength alone, he was afraid that they would suffer heavy losses. After observing for a moment, Zi Chen quietly drew down from the high ground. He took out the holy talisman and formed a simple concealment glyph array. After hiding his figure, Zi Chen asked, "What's in here?" The small fairy explained, "It's a kind of soul crystal, somewhat similar to the soul-gathering crystal. But the soul power contained in it is not as good as the soul-gathering crystal." Zi Chen's expression changed. In the Holy Spirit realm, the price of things like souls was extremely high. If there was really a crystal vein here that was second only to the soul-gathering crystal, then the value was indeed high. "Is the vein very big?" Zi Chen asked again. After all, this involved a matter of interest. Not small. Chapter 41:21. After Little Fairy's confirmation, the range of this crystal vein was not small. Zi Chen returned to the high ground again. He looked at the hidden city and fell into deep thought. If it was just an ordinary vein, he would not hesitate to give it up because it might mean initiating a war with the lost clan. It was obviously not worth it. However, this was a vein that might be second only to the soul-gathering crystal. Its huge value forced Zi Chen to think deeply about it, even if he had to take the risk. At first, his plan was to dig deep in other places and then enter from underground, just like when he first discovered the celestial crystal vein. However, this idea was rejected by Little Fairy as soon as it appeared. Because the opportunity was under the city, once it was excavated, it would inevitably cause a great commotion. Little Fairy even guessed that there seemed to be a deeper meaning behind the city's appearance here. This put Zi Chen in a dilemma. It was obviously impossible to give up. Could he just violate the agreement and directly start a war? At that time, maybe all the Lost Clan would attack the Holy Thunder Clan. At that time, the gains would not make up for the losses. Why don't we give up for the time being? Zi Chen said, "When others come here, these Lost Clan will naturally leave, just like in the periphery." When they were in the periphery, Zichen had encountered a small settlement of the Lost Clan. In the end, as everyone went deeper, the Lost Clan evacuated on their own. What if they don't leave, or someone else gets here first? Little Fairy had her own worries. Zichen said, "In that case, why don't you devour a part of it first?" Little Fairy rolled her eyes at Zichen. Zichen stayed here for 3 days, but he still had no idea. He didn't even want to go in and explore. After thinking about it again and again, he decided to leave this place first. He had delayed for too long. If he couldn't find other resources to mine, then he would have to bear the losses. After all, during this time he had gained nothing, but the people of the Holy Thunder Clan had been stationed inside. Just as Zichen was about to leave, a light suddenly flew from the city below. Zichen immediately held his breath and hid. That person appeared in the sky. He looked around and smiled. "Since you're here, why don't you show yourself?" It was a somewhat familiar voice. Zichen removed his concealment technique and stood up. Standing in the sky was the leader who had ordered the retreat last time. "So it's Chief Zichen. What brings you here? Do you want to change your mind and attack us?" Tate smiled. Zichen patted the dust off his body and said, "You must be joking. How should I address you, brother?" "Taith." Tez looked back at the city and the forest and said, "Shall we go in and have a seat?" "Is it convenient?" "It's convenient, but I'm afraid that Chief Zichen won't dare to go." Zichen laughed and said, "Let's go take a look." Zichen followed Tez, heading towards the large city below. This was indeed a city of trees. Furthermore, the surrounding trees had the ability to conceal their auras. After truly entering this place, Zichen's perception became even sharper. He discovered that the bereaved living here were all at the level of sacred spirits. Every single one of them. His expression changed. Taith smiled and said, "This can be considered one of our secret military bases. Those who live here are all warriors." "Chief Zichen, you suddenly came here to kill us?" Chief Taith must be joking. "I also admire the strength of the ancient bereaved," Zichen said. Taith immediately shook his head and said, "It's one thing for others to say this, but why do I feel ashamed when it comes from Chief Zichen's mouth?" The two who were supposed to be enemies came to a castle in such a polite manner. Perhaps the surrounding people had been purposely dismissed, but there were only the two of them in the large castle. After taking a seat, Taith said, "I won't beat around the bush with Chief and will ask directly. May I know why Chief has come here? Do you really want to destroy our team?" Zichen looked at Taith and didn't immediately speak. Taith said, "Chief, you can just say it." Zichen hesitated and said, "In that case, I'll tell you the truth." Zichen pointed at the ground and said, "There are resources we need down there. That's why we came here." "That's all?" "Of course." Taith said, "I thought Chief was going to attack us." Zichen shook his head and said, "How is that possible? I already promised before that I wouldn't take the initiative to start a fight with you." Taith looked at Zichen and said, "I want to know how Chief will deal with the resources here." Zichen said helplessly, "What else can we do? Wait, we'll come again after you leave. Perhaps we'll have to fight with others then." Taith said, "Then how will you make us leave?" "What?" Zichen was stunned. "What if we leave and are willing to leave this place to Chief?" Taith asked again. "That's impossible, right?" Zichen said, "You live here. Why would you leave for no reason?" Taith said, "Didn't Chief say that we'll have to leave sooner or later? Instead of being forced to flee in the end, wouldn't Chief owe us a favor if we leave now?" Zichen's expression changed. "Are you serious?" Taith said seriously, "How would I dare joke about this kind of thing?" Zichen nodded and said, "Tell me, what kind of price do you want me to pay?" This time, it was Taith's turn to be stunned. Zichen said, "I believe that you won't do us a favor for free. What do you want me to pay? Or should I say, what do we have to pay?" Taith suddenly laughed and it was a very happy laugh. It's so convenient to deal with smart people. We want to get the truth from Chief Zichin. Last time, Chief said that you could arrange for us to go to your living area. Is that true? Zichin said without hesitation, "Of course it's true." Taith said, "There won't be any difficulty or risk." Zichin thought for a while and said, "In my opinion, there shouldn't be any difficulty or risk. But as for the specifics, we'll have to go back to the clan and discuss it. But it shouldn't be a big problem." Taith said, "What if I say that our condition is that Chief has to arrange a new place for those who leave until they're satisfied? Is Chief willing?" Zichin was very surprised. He didn't expect the other party to make such a request. "Or let our people go to your world and see if that place is suitable for us to live in." Chapter 41:22. For Zichin, this seemed to be a great thing because he could get such a great opportunity without paying anything in the early stages. But he didn't agree directly. Instead, he said, "This is not a small matter. Can you make the decision?" Taisei said, "I can make the decision for a small matter like retreating, but going to your world is a big matter. I can't make the decision." Zichin said, "Then find someone who can make the decision. This is not a small matter. We need to be careful." "Okay, I'll send a message back immediately." Taisei nodded and said, "But I'll have to trouble Chief Zichin to stay here for a few days." 3 days later, Zichin waited for that important person to come. But after seeing her, Zichin was very surprised. It was the woman from the Lost Clan who fought with him last time. The other party had a face that was so beautiful that it was flirtatious. She was still wearing tight black clothes, and her movements were clean and nimble. "Are you surprised?" Taisei took the initiative to leave the room. The woman spoke. "I'm a little surprised." Zichin nodded honestly. "My name is Tasha. I can make the decision for this matter," Tasha said. Zichin nodded again. "What's your plan?" Tasha said, "I'll go with you to the outside world and find a suitable place for us to live. As for the resources here, we can provide some convenience for you." Zichin was puzzled. "Why me?" Tasha didn't answer the question. Instead, she asked, "Are you not trustworthy?" Zichin didn't know what she was thinking, but he had a good impression of Tasha, even if she had sneak attacked him. Zichin said, "How are you going to leave with me? The other forces may not be happy to see this. Once they know who you are, they may try to kill you." "I have my ways," Tasha said. Tasha said, "I know a spell that can change my aura and appearance, making it impossible for anyone to find out." Zichin suddenly asked, "May I ask why you want to leave?" The way Tasha looked at Zichin became strange. "The place we're living in is going to be gone soon. Where else can we go?" Zichin was a little confused. "Once the resources here have all been extracted by you, this world will become a wasteland. If we continue to live here, how long can we last without any resources?" Tasha said, "And the world you live in is the best place for us to belong." Zichin found it hard to believe. If that was the case, they would have fought the invaders to the death instead of choosing to cooperate. As if she had guessed Zichin's doubts, Tasha continued, I can only represent my faction. There is another faction that is very radical. They will fight to the death. So even if you and I have reached an agreement, we still have to fight here. Of course, you can mine the resources under the city as you wish." Zichin said, "We need to occupy this place first before we can go back and discuss this matter with the clan. Is there a need for discussion? Aren't you the leader this time? Don't you have the final say?" Tasha asked curiously. "There are many people above me. Moreover, this is the first time I have been appointed as the leader." Zichin laughed. "Their fighting strength is not as good as yours. Do you still have to listen to them?" Tasha asked again. "There is the Holy Spirit above the Holy Spirit. My fighting strength is far from enough to make my words carry weight." After Zichin said this, Tasha's eyes lit up. She nodded and agreed directly. Actually, your people don't have to withdraw because we only extract the resources underground. Forget it. If we don't withdraw, there will be a lot of gossip. It will be very bad for us. The matter was agreed. Then Zi-Chen said goodbye and went back to bring people to extract the resources. On the way back, the elf warned, "Be careful of what they are up to. You are invaders. If you take them out, they will be invaders." Zi-Chen said, "We came here for the opportunity. As for who is the invader, the Holy Spirit should be the one who should worry." The elf said, "So, do you really plan to cooperate with them? If I don't agree to such a good thing, won't I be struck by lightning?" After leaving a certain range, Zi-Chen used Little Thunder's exclusive teleportation talisman and returned to the Blood Dragon Canyon. He first went to see Grace and asked about the current situation. She said that everything was normal. After Zi-Chen told her that he had found the second land of great opportunity, Grace was happy for Zi-Chen from the bottom of her heart. At the same time, she asked him when he could extract the resources. Zi-Chen replied that he had to see the Holy Spirit first. In the Blood Dragon Canyon, Zi-Chen used the lost heavenly crystal and left the lost world. It seemed that Fu Lao had set up a new teleportation array when he returned. When he arrived at the teleportation array of the Moon Star, everything was proceeding in an orderly manner. When the Holy Spirits of the Holy Thunder Clan saw Zi-Chen, they were very surprised and immediately bowed to Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen waved his hand and motioned for everyone to continue. Then he went to find the Holy Spirit Master Lady. Compared to the last time when the Holy Spirit Master's aura was deliberately released, Lady's aura was restrained this time. It could also be seen that the situation had stabilized. After all, the Lost World was big enough, and there were enough opportunities inside. The Holy Thunder Clan had discovered something, and the other forces had also had their own gains. When he saw Lady again, the two ancestors of the Spirit Clan and Vane Clan were also there. When they saw Zi-Chen come in, the Vane Clan ancestor said with a smile, "Kid, you're out again. What? Did you find another resource that surprised us?" Zi-Chen said, "No, but there is one thing that needs the Holy Spirit Master's decision." Oh, Lady looked at Zi-Chen and was a little surprised. After all, after he told Zi-Chen about the issue of authority last time, Zi-Chen began to deal with other things on his own. From the looks of it, except for a few interested families, the reputation of Zi-Chen was good. At least, all parties were very satisfied. "Tell me about it." Lady was a little curious about what Zi-Chen wanted to say. Zi-Chen told him about Tasha without hiding anything, including the deal between the two sides. Moreover, in the territory of the Holy Spirit Master, Zi-Chen was not worried that someone would eavesdrop. Lady's expression gradually changed. The smiles on the faces of the Spirit Clan and Vane Clan ancestors gradually disappeared. It involved the migration of a clan, which was not a trivial matter. According to Zi-Chen's current authority, he really could not make the decision. "Since you've agreed to this matter, what do you think?" After Zi-Chen finished speaking, Lady did not immediately give his opinion, but asked for his opinion. Before he came, Zi-Chen had his own ideas in mind, but the matter involved too much, and his words were far from enough. Now, since the Holy Spirit Master asked for his opinion, Zi-Chen certainly said whatever he wanted to say. "I think this is a good thing, because there are many strong people in the Lost Clan. Once they join our Holy Thunder Clan, it will be of great help to the overall strength of our Holy Thunder Clan." Zi-Chen said, "When the Holy Moon Clan attacked the Lost World, they suffered heavy losses, so they chose to openly let everyone in. If we can really accept them, it's equivalent to having a great force comparable to the Holy Clan out of thin air." "That's true, but have you thought about the consequences?" Lady said, "Such a great force. Once used by us, it will be of great help. But if one day it's not used by us and is used by others, it will be a disaster for our Holy Thunder Clan." The Spirit Clan and Vane Clan ancestors nodded repeatedly. Zi-Chen said, "I haven't considered this issue, nor have I thought deeply about it, because the reason is the same. In our Holy Thunder clan, there are many big clans. They are usually of great help to us. But what if one day they rebel? The Vane clan ancestor said, "That's impossible. They are born and raised in the Holy Thunder clan. It's impossible for them to rebel." Zichin turned back and said, "I mean, what if they rebel?" The Vane clan ancestor said proudly, "Then we're not afraid. With the Holy Spirit Master in charge, they won't dare to rebel." Zichin said with a smile, "You see, the reason is the same. With such a strong support, if they really want to rebel, it's not a problem for us to consider, but for the Holy Spirit Master to consider." The Vane clan ancestor was stunned and then realized that this kid only cared about bringing people and not maintaining stability. He was obviously shirking his responsibility, but after thinking about it carefully, it seemed to be true. There were so many powerful Holy Spirits in the Holy Thunder clan. What did they need to be afraid of? The Holy Spirits couldn't enter that place now. If they could, they would have conquered it long ago. Lady continued to ask, "Then how do you arrange them?" Zichin said, "Give them a suitable area in the Holy Thunder clan and set it as a forbidden area for the time being. No one from the Holy Thunder clan is allowed to step in. With the passage of time, the estrangement will eventually disappear. At that time, everyone will be able to accept the existence of the lost clan and even coexist peacefully." Lady was silent for a moment and said, "Your idea is good, but there are still many problems and details to consider whether it can be implemented or not. There are even many difficulties. Keep working hard." Zichin asked in confusion, "Holy Spirit Master, what do you mean? Do you support me or not?" Without waiting for Lady to answer, the Vane clan ancestor said, "You silly boy, of course we will support you, but our support is not enough. After all, there is still a real leader in the Holy Thunder clan. If you want to make this happen, you have to ask Lejinka and others." Zichin nodded his head. This was indeed not a small matter, and it required the agreement of many parties. Lady said, "I will spread some news about this matter and see how the clan's attitude is. As for you, you can go and do your own things first. This is not something that can be done overnight." Zichin said goodbye and left. He didn't go back immediately, but went to monitor various channels and meet those in charge. After Zichin left, the spirit ancestor, who had been silent all this time, said, "Will this work?" The Vane clan ancestor said, "Of course. This is a great thing for the Holy Thunder clan. Besides, with the agreement of the three of us, there will be no problem." Unexpectedly, the spirit ancestor didn't look at the Vane clan ancestor at all, but looked at Lady. Lady said, "Of course not." "Not." The Vane clan ancestor's eyes widened and said in disbelief, "How is that possible? This is a great thing. You'll know when you see it. Asterisk, 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 after meeting the leaders and having a meal with everyone under Lei Meng's introduction. Zichin returned to the lost world again. Lei Wuxing had already prepared a team of 5,000 people for Zichin. Among them, there were 3 core members. Next, Zichin led the team, including Lei Wuxing himself, and went straight into the depths. The Holy Thunder clan once again dispatched a large team, which attracted the attention of many forces. Many spies were silently following them. Along the way, everyone didn't explore the opportunities at all. They just sped up and seemed to have a very clear goal. Some spies gradually found clues and went forward, overtaking the Holy Thunder clan's team. But after discovering the Vestigial clan's base, they stopped and retreated. Obviously, the Vestigial clan's base was right in front of the Holy Thunder clan. Once the two sides met, a battle was bound to break out. The 5,000 people of the Holy Thunder clan might be destroyed because of this. Many people were waiting to watch a good show. But when they were about to meet the Vestigial clan's base, the Holy Thunder clan suddenly stopped. In the eyes of others, it was obvious that the Holy Thunder clan had discovered the existence of the base. but at such a close distance, even if the Holy Thunder Clan stopped, it seemed to be of no use. The Vestigial Clan inside would definitely kill their way out. But the fact was the opposite. Just when the Holy Thunder Clan arrived, the Vestigial Clan all retreated and left the base. Then, everyone from the Holy Thunder Clan settled in. As the news spread, it caused an uproar. Many people remembered the conversation between Ziqin and the Vestigial Clan. Did both sides really reach a consensus? No battle broke out between the two sides, and everyone's expectations were disappointed. Soon, news spread that the Holy Thunder Clan had made a major discovery under the city. This gave many forces hope. They, who had been constantly fighting, chose the same method as Ziqin and wanted to make peace with the Vestigial Clan. But no one knew whether it was because they lacked Ziqin's combat power or Ziqin's eloquence. But none of the forces succeeded. Instead, large-scale battles broke out one after another. During this period, another all-out battle broke out. The Vestigial Clan attacked, and the various forces were beaten back. When they encountered Ziqin's force, they would take a detour. The various forces suffered heavy losses, but the Holy Thunder Clan was still mining. For a time, all kinds of curses were heard. Not only in the Lost World, but in the Saint Spirit World, such curses also existed. Even the Holy Thunder Clan had such voices. Too shameless. As a member of the Holy Thunder Clan, I feel ashamed. Why don't we fight the enemy to the death? Why do we ignore the death of our compatriots and compromise with the enemy? Now he wants to bring the enemy back. This is simply wishful thinking. Ziqin is leading the wolf into the house. He has ulterior motives and wants to destroy our Holy Thunder Clan. All kinds of rumors spread from the Holy Thunder Clan. For Ziqin, this seemed to be a great thing because he could get a great opportunity without having to pay anything in the early stages. But he did not directly agree. Instead, he said, "This is not a small matter. Can you make the decision?" Taisei said, "I can make the decision for a small matter like retreating, but going to your world is a big matter. I can't make the decision." Ziqin said, "Then find someone who can make the decision. This is not a small matter, and we need to be cautious." "All right, I will send the news back immediately." Taisei nodded and said, "But for the next few days, I will have to trouble Chief Ziqin to continue to stay here." 3 days later, Ziqin waited for that big shot to come. But after seeing her, Ziqin was very surprised. It turned out to be the woman from the Lost Clan who fought with him last time. She had a beautiful and flirtatious face and was still wearing tight black clothes. Her movements were clean and nimble. "Are you surprised?" Taisei took the initiative to leave the room, and the woman spoke. "I'm a little surprised." Ziqin nodded honestly. "My name is Tasha. I can make the decision for this matter," Tasha said. Ziqin nodded again. "What are your plans?" Tasha said, "I will follow you to the outside world to have a look and find a suitable place for us to live. As for the resources here, we can provide some convenience for you." Ziqin was puzzled. "Why me?" Tasha did not answer the question. Instead, she asked, "Could it be that you are not trustworthy?" Ziqin did not know what she was thinking, but he had a good impression of Tasha, even if she had sneak attacked him. Ziqin said, "How are you going to leave with me? The other forces may not be happy to see this. Once they know your identity, they may try to kill you." "I have a way," Tasha said. Tasha said, "I know a technique that can change my aura and appearance, making it impossible for anyone to find out." Ziqin suddenly asked, "May I ask why you want to leave?" Tasha looked at Ziqin with a strange gaze. "The world is about to disappear. Where else can we go?" Ziqin was a little puzzled. "Once the resources here are all extracted by you, this world will be a waste. If we continue to live here without any resources, how long can we last?" Tasha said, "And the world you are in is the best place for us to belong." Ziqin found it hard to believe. If that was really the case, they would have fought the invaders to the death instead of choosing to cooperate. As if she had guessed Zi-Chen's doubts, Tasha continued, I can only represent my faction. There is another faction that is very radical. They will fight to the death. So even if you and I have reached an agreement, we will still have to fight here. Of course, you can extract the resources under this city as you wish. Zi-Chen said, We need to occupy this place first, then we can go back and discuss this with the clan. Is there a need to discuss? Aren't you the leader this time? Don't you have the final say? Tasha asked curiously. There are many people above me. Besides, this is my first time as a leader, and I am appointed by the higher-ups. Zi-Chen smiled. Their fighting strength is not as good as yours. Do you still have to listen to them? Tasha asked again. There are holy spirits above the holy spirits. My fighting strength is far from enough to make me a leader. After Zi-Chen said this, Tasha's eyes lit up. She nodded and agreed. Actually, your people don't need to withdraw because we only mine the resources underground. Forget it. If we don't withdraw, there will be a lot of gossip. This will be very disadvantageous to us. After the matter was agreed upon, Zi-Chen said goodbye and went back to bring people to investigate the place. When he returned, the little elf warned, Be careful of what they are up to. You are invaders. If you bring them out, they will be invaders. Zi-Chen said, The purpose of our arrival here is for the opportunity here. As for who is the invader, the one who should be worried should be the Holy Master. The little elf said, So, you really plan to cooperate with them? If we don't agree to such a good thing, won't we be struck by lightning? After leaving a certain range, Zi-Chen used Little Lei's exclusive teleportation talisman and returned to the Blood Dragon Canyon. He first went to see Grace and asked her about the current situation. She said that everything was normal. After Zi-Chen told her that he had discovered the second land of great opportunity, Grace was happy for Zi-Chen from the bottom of her heart. At the same time, she asked him when he could start mining. Zi-Chen replied that he had to meet the Holy Master first. In the Blood Dragon Canyon, Zi-Chen used the lost heavenly crystal and left the lost world. When he arrived at the teleportation array of Luna, everything was proceeding in an orderly manner. When the holy spirits of the Holy Thunder Clan saw Zi-Chen, they were very surprised and immediately bowed to Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen waved his hand and gestured for everyone to continue. Then he went to look for Holy Master Lady. Compared to the last time, when the Holy Master deliberately released his aura, Lady's aura was restrained this time. It could be seen that the situation had stabilized. After all, the Lost World was big enough, and there were enough opportunities in it. When the Holy Thunder Clan discovered something, other forces also had their own gains. When he saw Lady again, the two ancestors of the Spiritual Clan and Pulse Clan were also there. When they saw Zi-Chen come in, the Pulse Clan ancestor said with a smile, Kid, you're out again. What's the matter? Did you find something that surprised us again? Zi-Chen said, No, but there is one thing that needs to be decided by the Holy Master. Oh, Lady looked at Zi-Chen and was a little surprised. After all, after he told Zi-Chen about the issue of authority last time, Zi-Chen began to deal with other things on his own. From the current point of view, except for a few families, the reputation of Zi-Chen was good. At least, all parties were very satisfied. Tell me about it. Lady was a little curious about what Zi-Chen wanted to say. Zi-Chen told him about Tasha. During this time, he did not hide anything, including the deal between the two sides. Moreover, in the territory of the Holy Master, Zi-Chen was not worried about someone eavesdropping. Lady's expression gradually changed. The smiles on the faces of the two ancestors of the Spiritual Clan and Pulse Clan gradually faded. It involved the migration of a clan, which was not a trivial matter. According to Zi-Chen's current authority, he really did not have the authority to make the decision. Since you've agreed to this matter, I wonder what your opinion is? After Zi-Chen finished speaking, Lady did not immediately give his opinion, but asked for his opinion. Before coming, Zi-Chun had his own ideas in mind, but the matter involved too many things, and his words were far from enough. Now, since the Holy Master asked for his opinion, Zi-Chun would certainly say whatever he wanted to say. I think this is a good thing, because there are many strong people in the Lost Clan. Once they join our Holy Thunder Clan, it will be of great help to the overall strength of our Holy Thunder Clan. Zi-Chun said, when the Holy Moon Clan attacked the Lost World, they suffered heavy losses, so they chose to let everyone enter. If we can really accept them, it's equivalent to having a big force comparable to the Holy Clan out of thin air. That's true, but have you thought about the consequences? Late D said, such a big force, once used by us, it will be of help. But if one day it's not used by us and is used by others, it will be a disaster for our Holy Thunder Clan. The two ancestors of the Spiritual Clan and Pulse Clan nodded repeatedly. Zi-Chun said, I haven't thought about this problem, and I haven't thought about it too deeply, because the principle is the same. There are many big clans in our Holy Thunder Clan, and they are usually of help to us. But what if one day they rebel? The ancestor of the Pulse Clan said, that's impossible. They are the native people of the Holy Thunder Clan. It's impossible for them to rebel. Zi-Chun turned back and said, what if they rebel? The ancestor of the Pulse Clan said proudly, then we are not afraid. With the holy sages in charge, they won't dare to rebel. Zi-Chun said with a smile, you see, the principle is the same. With such strong support, if they really want to rebel, it's not a problem for us to consider. It's for the holy sages to consider. The ancestor of the Pulse Clan was stunned and then realized that this kid only cared about bringing people and not maintaining stability. He was obviously shirking his responsibility, but thinking about it carefully, it seemed that it was true. There were so many powerful holy sages in the Holy Thunder Clan. So what did they need to be afraid of? The holy sages could not enter that place now. If they could enter, they would have already taken it. Lei Di continued to ask, then what are you going to do with them? Zi-Chun said, give them a suitable area in the Holy Thunder Clan and temporarily set it as a forbidden area. No one from the Holy Thunder Clan is allowed to enter. With the passage of time, the estrangement will eventually disappear. At that time, everyone will be able to accept the existence of the Lost Clan and even coexist peacefully. Lei Di was silent for a moment and said, your idea is really good, but there are still many problems and details to consider whether it can be implemented or not. There are even many difficulties. Continue to work hard. Zi-Chun asked in confusion, holy sages, what do you mean? Do you support me or not? Without waiting for Lei Di to answer, the ancestor said, you silly boy, of course we will support you, but our support is not enough. After all, the Holy Thunder Clan still has a real leader. If you want to make this happen, you have to ask Lejinka and others. Zi-Chun nodded. This was indeed not a small matter, and it needed the agreement of many parties. Lei Di said, I will spread some news about this matter and see how the clan's attitude is. As for you, you can go and do your own things first. This is not something that can be done overnight. Zi-Chun bade farewell and left. He did not go back immediately, but went to monitor the various channels and meet the leaders in charge. After Zi-Chun left, the spirit ancestor, who had been silent all this time, said, can this be done? Of course it can. This is a great thing for the Holy Thunder Clan, said the spirit ancestor. Besides, with the agreement of the three of us, there will definitely be no problem. Unexpectedly, the spirit ancestor did not look at the spirit ancestor at all, but looked at Lei Di. Lei Di said, of course it won't work. It won't work? The spirit ancestor's eyes widened, and he said in disbelief, how is that possible? This is a great thing. You'll know when you see it. Asterisk, 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 after meeting the leaders and having a meal with them under Lei Meng's introduction. Zi-Chun returned to the Lost World again. Lei Wuxing had already prepared a team of 5,000 people for Zi-Chun. Among them, there were 3 core members. Next, Zichen led the team, including Lei Wuxing himself, and went straight into the depths. The Holy Thunder Clan once again dispatched a large team, which attracted the attention of many forces. Many spies were silently following them. Along the way, everyone did not explore the opportunities at all. They just sped up and seemed to have a very clear goal. Some spies gradually found clues and then went forward, overtaking the Holy Thunder Clan's team. But after discovering the Vestigial Clan's encampment, they stopped and retreated. Obviously, the Vestigial Clan's encampment was right in front of the Holy Thunder Clan. Once the 2 sides met, a battle was bound to break out. The 5,000 people of the Holy Thunder Clan might be destroyed because of this. Many people were waiting to watch a good show. But when they were about to meet the Vestigial Clan's encampment, the Holy Thunder Clan suddenly stopped. In the eyes of others, it was obvious that the Holy Thunder Clan had discovered the existence of the encampment. But at such a close distance, even if the Holy Thunder Clan stopped, it seemed to be of no use. The Vestigial Clan inside would definitely kill their way out. But the fact was the opposite. Just when the Holy Thunder Clan arrived, the Vestigial Clan all retreated and left the encampment. Then, all the members of the Holy Thunder Clan entered the encampment. As the news spread, it caused an uproar. Many people remembered the conversation between Zichen and the Vestigial Clan. Did the 2 sides really reach a consensus? No battle broke out between the 2 sides, and everyone's expectations were disappointed. Soon, news spread that the Holy Thunder Clan had made a major discovery under the city. This gave many forces hope. They, who had been constantly fighting, chose the same way as Zichen and wanted to make peace with the Vestigial Clan. But no one knew whether it was because they lacked Zichen's combat power or Zichen's eloquence, but none of the forces succeeded. Instead, large-scale battles broke out one after another. During this period, another all-out battle broke out. The Vestigial Clan attacked, and the various forces were beaten back. When they encountered Zichen's forces, they would take a detour. The various forces suffered heavy losses, but the Holy Thunder Clan was still mining. For a time, all kinds of curses were heard, not only in the Lost World, but in the Holy Spirit realm. Such curses also existed. There were even such voices in the Holy Thunder Clan. This is too shameless. As a member of the Holy Thunder Clan, I feel ashamed. Why didn't we fight the enemy to the death? Why did we ignore the death of our compatriots and compromise with the enemy? Now they want to bring the enemy back. This is simply wishful thinking. Zichen is leading the wolf into the house. He has ulterior motives and wants to destroy our Holy Thunder Clan. Chapter 41:23. Before he came, Zichen already had his own idea, but the matter involved too many people, and his words were far from enough. Now, since the Holy Sage had asked for his opinion, Zichen would certainly say whatever he wanted to say. I think this is a good thing, because there are many experts in the Lost Clan. Once they join our Holy Thunder Clan, it will be of great help to the overall strength of our Holy Thunder Clan. Zichen said, when the Holy Moon Clan attacked the Lost World, they suffered heavy losses. That's why they chose to let everyone in. If we can really accept them, it's equivalent to having a big force comparable to the Holy Clan out of thin air. That's true, but have you thought about the consequences? Late D said, such a big force, once used by us, it will be of help. But if one day it's not used by us and is used by others, it will be a disaster for our Holy Thunder Clan. The spiritual ancestor and the pulse ancestor nodded repeatedly. Zichen said, I haven't considered this question, nor have I thought deeply about it, because the logic is the same. In our sacred Thunder tribe, there are many big families. Usually they help us, but what if they betray us one day? The pulse ancestor said, that's impossible. They are the native Holy Thunder Clan. It's impossible for them to rebel. Zichen turned back and said, what if they rebel? The Pulse ancestor said proudly, "Then we're not afraid. With the holy sage in charge, they won't dare to rebel." Zichen smiled and said, "You see, the reason is the same. With such a strong support, if they really want to rebel, it's not a problem for us to consider, but for the holy sages." The Pulse ancestor was stunned and then realized that this kid only cared about bringing people and did not care about maintaining stability. He was obviously shirking responsibility, but after thinking about it carefully, it seemed to be true. There were so many holy sages in the Holy Thunder Clan. What did they need to be afraid of? The holy sages could not enter that place. If they could enter, they would have already conquered it. Lady continued to ask, "Then how do you arrange them?" Zichen said, "Give them a suitable area in the Holy Thunder Clan. For the time being, set it as a forbidden area. No one from the Holy Thunder Clan is allowed to enter. With the passage of time, the estrangement will eventually be eliminated. At that time, everyone will be able to accept the existence of the bereaved. Moreover, both sides can even coexist peacefully." Lady was silent for a moment and said, "Your idea is good, but whether it can be implemented or not, there are still many problems and details to consider. There are even many difficulties. Continue to work hard." Zichen was puzzled and asked, "What do you mean, my lord? Do you support it or not?" Without waiting for Lady to answer, the bloodline ancestor said, "You silly boy, of course we will support you, but our support is not enough. After all, the Holy Thunder Clan still has a real leader. If you want to make this happen, you have to ask Lejinka and the others." Zichen nodded. This was indeed not a small matter, and it required the agreement of many parties. Lady said, "I will release some news about this matter and see what the clan's attitude is. As for you, you can go and do your own things first. This is not something that can be done overnight." Zichen bid farewell and left. He did not go back immediately, but went to various channels to monitor and meet the leaders in charge. After Zichen left, the spirit ancestor, who had been silent all this time, said, "Can this be done?" The bloodline ancestor said, "Of course it can. This is a great thing for the Holy Thunder Clan. Besides, the three of us have agreed, so there will definitely be no problem." Unexpectedly, the spirit ancestor did not look at the bloodline ancestor at all, but looked at Lady. Lady said with certainty, "Of course it won't work." "It won't work?" The bloodline ancestor's eyes widened, and he said in disbelief, "How is that possible? This is a great thing. You'll know when you see it. Asterisk, 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 asterisk," after meeting the leaders and having a meal with everyone under Lei Meng's introduction. Zichen returned to the Lost World again. Lei Wuxing had already prepared a team of 5,000 people for Zichen. Among them, there were 3 core members. Next, Zichen led the team, including Lei Wuxing himself, and went straight into the depths. The Holy Thunder Clan once again dispatched a large team, which attracted the attention of many forces. Many spies were following them, silently. Along the way, everyone did not explore the opportunities at all. They just sped up and seemed to have a very clear goal. Some spies gradually found some clues and went forward, overtaking the Holy Thunder Clan's team. But after discovering the Vestigial Clan's encampment, they stopped and retreated. Obviously, the Vestigial Clan's encampment was right in front of the Holy Thunder Clan. Once the two sides met, a battle was bound to break out. The 5,000 people of the Holy Thunder Clan might be destroyed because of this. Many people were waiting to watch a good show. But when they were about to meet the Vestigial Clan's encampment, the Holy Thunder Clan suddenly stopped. In the eyes of others, it was obvious that the Holy Thunder Clan had discovered the existence of the encampment. But at such a close distance, even if the Holy Thunder Clan stopped, it seemed to be useless. The Vestigial Clan inside would definitely come out. A battle was still unavoidable. But the fact was the opposite. Just when the Holy Thunder Clan arrived, the Vestigial Clan all retreated and left the encampment. Then, Everyone from the Holy Thunder Clan settled in. As the news spread, it caused an uproar. Many people remembered the conversation between Zichen and the Vestigial clan. Did both sides really reach a consensus? No battle broke out between the two sides, and everyone's expectations were disappointed. Soon, news spread that the Holy Thunder Clan had made a major discovery under the city. This gave many forces a glimmer of hope. They, who had been constantly fighting, chose the same method as Zichen and wanted to seek peace with the Vestigial clan. But no one knew whether it was because they lacked Zichen's combat power or Zichen's eloquence. But none of the forces succeeded. Instead, large-scale battles broke out one after another. During this period, another all-out battle broke out. The Vestigial clan attacked with all their might, and the various forces were defeated. When they encountered Zichen's forces, they would take a detour. The various forces suffered heavy losses, but the Holy Thunder Clan was still mining. For a time, all kinds of curses were heard. Not only in the Lost World, but in the Holy Spirit realm, such curses also existed. Even in the Holy Thunder Clan, there were such voices. This is too shameless. As a member of the Holy Thunder Clan, I feel ashamed. Why didn't we fight the enemy to the death? Why did we compromise with the enemy regardless of the death of our compatriots? Now they want to bring the enemy back. This is simply wishful thinking. Zichen is leading the wolf into the house. He has ulterior motives. He wants to destroy our Holy Thunder Clan. Chapter 41-24. The resources underground had been excavated, and with the little spirit's guidance, the direction was naturally correct. For this, Zichen paid another 20 soul-gathering crystals as a reward. After excavating the resources, Zichen called Leylon over. At the same time, he brought her to meet Tasha and introduced them to each other. In the next few days, Tasha stayed with Leylon. Zichen left the city and walked towards the dense forest outside the city. Tess was waiting there. After seeing Zichen, Tess waved his hand and a light appeared, shielding the surroundings. Clearly, he had something important to say. Zichen walked forward and disappeared into the barrier. The people of the Holy Moon Clan could no longer investigate. After hesitating for a while, Tess said, Zichen, I hope that no matter what the result is this time, we can't let Her Excellency get hurt. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Zichen nodded and said, Don't worry. Since I brought her out, I will naturally send her back safely. Tess shook his head and said, No, you don't understand how much pressure Her Excellency is under this time. If something happens, no one can bear the consequences. Zichen patted Tess's shoulder and said, Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Zichen could feel Tess's worry. He also knew the severity of the matter. If something really happened to Tasha in the Saint Spirit domain, then for the Holy Thunder Clan, it would completely cut off the path of resource extraction in the Lost World. Zichen was not that stupid. To be safe, Zichen let Tasha stay with Leylon for 10 days. After 10 days, Zichen, who had arranged everything, left the Lost World with Leylon. After returning to the Moonstar, Zichen took Leylon to find Holy Sage Lady immediately. During this time, Leylon looked around, as if she was very curious about everything. After arriving at Lady's residence and seeing him for the first time, Leylon's expression changed. The 3 holy sages also looked at Leylon in surprise. Lady only glanced at Leylon before looking away. Have you decided? Zichen nodded. I've decided. Then do as you say, but don't be too optimistic. See more, listen more, think more, then make a decision. Lady said. Zichen looked hesitant. Lady said, Between you and me, let's be frank. Zichen asked, What if, and I mean what if, there are suddenly some strange races in my world? Will there be a problem? Lady didn't answer, but asked, Are there not many strange races in your world? What Lady said was true. In Zichen's world, There were all kinds of people. Actually, all the races had them now. Zichen immediately understood Lady's meaning and thanked him with cupped fists. This was the Lord's tacit agreement. Even if the worst happened, he would have the Lord's support. Lei waved his hand and shot out a beam of energy, which landed on Lei Lan's body. Now it's more alike. Lei Lan's eyes were filled with shock. Let's go. After saying goodbye to the three lords, Zichen turned and walked toward the door. Lei Lan followed him cautiously. She was very surprised that her trick was seen through in a single glance. There's nothing to be surprised about. He's Lei Lan's teacher. Of course, he knows his disciple, Zichen said with a smile. Tasha suddenly understood. That's the Lord you were talking about? Tasha asked, an expert above the Holy Spirit level. Zichen nodded and said that's right. They are also the most powerful existences in the world. While talking, Zichen took Tasha, who had changed into Lei Lan's appearance, and flew out of Luna. When they arrived outside of Luna, a light flashed in front of Zichen, and a flying ship appeared. After the two boarded the flying ship, Tasha couldn't suppress the excitement in her heart and cheered loudly. Fortunately, Zichen had isolated the surroundings early in the morning. Tasha looked out of the flying ship, and her eyes were filled with curiosity and shock, because they were now walking in the starry sky and were surrounded by Xingqian. Zichen said, "Every Xingqian here is a world. Almost all of them are inhabited by humans." The flying ship cut through the void like a bolt of lightning. "This is where you live. It's really boundless," Tasha said in shock. "How many people are there in such a huge place?" "Countless, and this is only a part of it," Zichen said. "The place you live may be the size of one of the Xingqian in this world." As the flying ship moved forward, Zichen introduced the situation of the Saint Spirit realm to Tasha. When they arrived at the second star field, Zichen entered a city and took Tasha to eat some food. At the same time, he also introduced her to the currency of the Saint Spirit realm. Zichen didn't choose to teleport back directly because he wanted to give Tasha time to familiarize herself with the Saint Spirit realm so that she wouldn't make a fuss about everything. At the same time, he also explained the division of forces in the Saint Spirit realm to Tasha. So there's so many forces. When Tasha heard this, she sighed with emotion. In that case, the forces we have been fighting for hundreds of years are just one of the forces in the Saint Spirit realm? Yes, the Holy Moon Clan is also one of the 4 holy clans. After hearing Zichen's explanation, Tasha understood the strength of the enemy and finally knew which forces had come this time. At the same time, she was also very glad that these forces were not united. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. Zichen didn't deliberately pursue time and speed, so his speed was not fast. This made many forces who were paying attention to him very puzzled. Why did Zichen, the leader, have such a refined interest? However, some people guessed the reason. The current Zichen could be said to be reviled by everyone and was unpopular. This was not only the case in the Saint Spirit realm, but also in the Holy Thunder Clan. If he wanted the Vestigial Clan to settle in the Holy Thunder Clan, not to mention whether the world would agree or not, the Holy Thunder Clan alone would not agree. This Zichen is really a guy who angers both men and gods. Last time, he was hunted down by the Holy Thunder Clan. Doesn't he know that? Now, for a little bit of resources, not to mention his personal dignity, he has betrayed all the forces and colluded with the Vestigial Clan. Shameless, this kind of person is extremely shameless. Fortunately, there are still people in the Holy Thunder Clan who are deeply righteous and recognize Zichen's wild ambition. Otherwise, the entire Holy Thunder Clan would have suffered huge losses because of this greedy guy. On the way back, they could hear such irrelevant remarks almost every time they stopped. In this regard, Zichen had no way to deal with it. Some of these words were naturally spread by the Holy Thunder Clan. But if it weren't for the other forces adding fuel to the fire, it wouldn't have reached this level. Last time, he made the other forces suffer a great loss, and he led the Holy Thunder Clan to a great harvest. Now, he wouldn't allow others to hit him when he was down and add fuel to the fire a few times. Perhaps it wouldn't change anything, but it would make them feel better. Chapter 41:25. Sitting on the airship again, Tasha, who was still in Leyland's appearance, said, "Aren't you angry?" Zichen shook his head and smiled. "What's there to be angry about? They've taken all the good stuff. Why can't they just shut the door and curse them?" Tasha said, "Is this a matter of shutting the door? They're clearly cursing in front of you." Zichen said, "You know that they're cursing in front of me. Since I can see that they're doing it on purpose, should I go up and beat them up or kill them directly? That'll give me more excuses. Moreover, those people are too weak. They're clearly sending themselves to their deaths. Why should I help them?" Through this, Zichen also learned about the current situation of the Holy Thunder Clan. It seemed that the forces that didn't want him to become stronger were not just those who had a grudge with him. Perhaps other than those few friendly clans, the other forces didn't want to see him rise. Looking at the entire Holy Spirit domain, the other great forces naturally didn't want to see the Holy Thunder Clan produce a great Zichen. If he became stronger, the Holy Thunder Clan would become stronger. Why were there so many voices of opposition in the Holy Thunder Clan? In fact, this wasn't difficult to understand because those people didn't care whether the Holy Thunder Clan became stronger or weaker. What they cared about was whether they would be threatened. Obviously, his rise had made many people feel threatened, so they didn't want to facilitate this. However, Zichen didn't care because the Holy Thunder Clan still had a leader. As long as he said something, this matter would be settled. Of course, there were also some people who spoke up for him during this period, but they were quickly drowned out by more opinions. After all, those who supported him were still in the minority. For the rest of the journey, Tasha said that there was no need to visit other places. She already had a good understanding of this world and could just head straight to the Holy Thunder Clan. This was because when Zichen was being cursed, the Vestigial Clan was also the target of everyone's hatred. In their words, both sides seemed to be in a situation where one side would die. Therefore, Tasha was full of worries about the future. Zichen returned to the Holy Thunder Clan and took Tasha directly from the outer area to the inner area. The huge thunder sea made Tasha widen her horizons again. He brought Tasha to the core city, and the first thing he did was to see the city lord. The city lord was very warm towards Zichen and wasn't surprised by his return. During this period of time, there had been news about Zichen and his whereabouts. Zichen, have you heard the recent rumors? The current situation is very unfavorable for you. The city lord personally poured tea for the two of them. Zichen didn't stand on ceremony with the city lord. Instead, he asked directly, "I wonder what the city lord thinks about letting the Vestigial Clan attack the Holy Thunder Clan." The city lord said in surprise, "Is the news true?" Zichen nodded and said, "I came back this time to see everyone's opinions. If everyone agrees, then our Holy Thunder Clan's progress in the lost world will not be hindered." The city lord fell silent and fell into contemplation. Zichen took a sip of tea and waited patiently. Leyland sat to the side, looking indifferent. This was Leyland's true character. Along the way, Zichen had warned her not to reveal anything, just in case, because they might not be able to return. Seeing Zichen sitting there and not leaving without giving him an answer, the city lord pondered and said, "I'm afraid this matter is inappropriate." "Please speak clearly, city lord." Zichen smiled slightly. "A few days ago, there were rumors about this matter, and there were great objections in the clan. After all, we belong to the same camp of the Holy Spirit domain. It's a great taboo to have contact with the Vestigial Clan. If we bring the Vestigial Clan to the Holy Thunder Clan, I'm afraid it will cause a huge conflict and maybe even lead to a civil war." The city lord said, In the long run, this matter is inappropriate for the sake of the peace of the Holy Thunder Clan. Zichen said, "It's nothing more than those few clans who don't agree. I'm sure the city, Lord, knows best what they are thinking. It's nothing more than them wantonly spreading the news, thinking that many people don't agree, but in fact, there are only a few. I believe that with the City Lord's prestige, you can certainly arrange this matter properly. After all, once the Vestigial Clan comes to our Holy Thunder Clan, the title of the 4 great sacred clans may have to be changed. When that time comes, won't this be the greatest contribution in the world? The Tree of Lightning may even be rewarded, and the City Lord may be able to reach the sky in a single bound." Hearing this, the City Lord shook his head again and said, "There are indeed many voices of opposition to this matter. According to my authority, there's really nothing I can do. To be honest, I also want to help this kind of good thing that can help the Holy Thunder Clan grow stronger, but unfortunately there's nothing I can do." Zichen looked at the City Lord and asked, "It really won't work?" The City Lord said helplessly and bitterly, "It really won't work. Why don't you go up and ask again?" Zichen nodded and said, "All right then, I'll go and ask again. Leylon, the tea in the City Lord's mansion is very delicious. You can drink it for a while and wait for me to come back. While you're at it, see if anyone else has come to see the City Lord and who they are." The City Lord smiled bitterly and said, "Zichen, don't worry. No one dares to be biased in this kind of matter." Zichen left Tasha in the City Lord's mansion, not because he didn't trust the City Lord, but because he didn't dare to let her meet Lejinka, because the other party was the well-deserved number 1 person of the Holy Thunder Clan. The camouflage set up by Lady might not be able to fool the other party. Zichen met Lejinka very smoothly. The number 1 person of the Holy Thunder Clan was also drinking tea. The tea's fragrance was overflowing, and it was obviously of the highest quality. The Holy Thunder Clan was already in an uproar because of Zichen's matter, but the true number 1 person of the clan appeared to be very calm. "Come, Zichen, have a cup of tea with me." Lejinka waved his hand and motioned for Zichen to come over. Zichen sat next to Lejinka. He wasn't here to drink tea, so he directly expressed his position. Zichen said, "For the Vestigial Clan to come to the Holy Thunder Clan, there are only benefits and no harm for us. This is an excellent thing." Lejinka said with a smile, "Zichen, what do you think of the current Holy Thunder Clan?" "Very good. One of the 4 great holy clans," Zichen said. "Although it hasn't reached the point where everyone is in awe of it, it's still a top force that no one dares to provoke." Lejinka drank a cup of tea and said slowly, "What if the Vestigial Clan comes? What will happen to the Holy Thunder Clan?" Zichen said without hesitation, "It will become the top force among the top forces. It will be able to suppress the other 3 clans and become the number 1 in the Holy Spirit world." Lejinka said with a smile, "You're wrong. At that time, the Holy Thunder Clan will have many enemies out of thin air. Let's not talk about the distant ones. The closest ones are the 3 holy clans. The original alliance of the 4 great holy clans will also collapse because of our strength. At that time, there will only be 3 great alliances left. Moreover, there will be different voices in the clan. Over time, it will even affect the unity of the Holy Thunder Clan. If the Holy Thunder Clan is not united, what do you think the consequences will be?" Chapter 41:26. If the vestigial race doesn't come, we are the 4 holy clans. Although there are occasional conflicts, we are still allies. There are conflicts of interest between the clans, but we are still united in terms of right and wrong. Once the vestigial race comes to the Holy Thunder Clan, there will be conflicts in the clan first, and they will no longer be united. The 4 major alliances will be disbanded instantly, and we have to keep an eye on the vestigial race to see if they betray us. What do you think we can benefit from? The lost world? Compared to the infinite troubles in the future, what are the current benefits? Zichin, it's not that this old man doesn't support you, but you're looking too far ahead and thinking too little, Lei Zhenke said earnestly. If you can overcome all of the difficulties mentioned above in the future, then I will agree to this matter of yours. But first, you have to promise that the future Holy Thunder Clan will be as united as it is now. How could Zichin dare to guarantee such a thing, even if he didn't think that the current Holy Thunder Clan was united? Fortunately, Lei Zhenke gave him sentence to make his position clear. I understand. I will take care of the matters in the lost world. Zichin got up and left. Lei Zhenke looked at Zichin as he left, shook his head and sighed. Your growth is still too slow. When Zichin arrived at the city lord's residence, Lei Lan was still drinking tea. Zichin called for Lei Lan to leave. The city lord smiled and said, I wish leader Zichin a great victory. Thanks. Zichin waved his hand without looking back, then pulled Lei Lan to his own world. During this time, Lei Lan looked at Zichin's expression and couldn't help but ask questions in her heart. Through transmission, Zichin arrived in his own world. The next moment, Zichin used the rules and brought Lei Lan back to his treehouse. This is my world. You can speak without worry, Zichin said. They didn't agree? Tasha asked. Zichin nodded and said, This is not beyond my expectations. The matter involves too many things, and the possibility of success is very small. In other words, it's impossible to succeed. Then what should we do? Tasha asked. After her experience in this world, she had already made a decision in her heart. She would bring her people here to live. This was because this world did not suppress their powers. Perhaps the Lost Clan would be able to break through the shackles and advance to the Holy Venerate realm after coming to the Saint Spirit realm. However, things seemed to be troublesome now because the Holy Thunder Clan actually disagreed. This is my world. It's big enough. The Holy Thunder Clan didn't agree to let you come here, but I can use my personal name to bring you here. From now on, you just need to live in my world, Zichin said. Before he came back, he already had this plan, and Lady had already agreed. Your world can accommodate all of us. Tasha was a little doubtful. Zichin said, Can you stay here? I'll show you around. In this world, Zichin was the master. He could use the rules of this place at will. Therefore, he could take Tasha to explore the mountains and rivers without alerting others. Zichin's world was so big that Tasha was very surprised. With her sharp senses, she naturally knew that the trees below were all alive. Furthermore, their lives were connected in a special way, causing all the trees to seem like a single entity. Just talking about the problem of living, this place was enough to accommodate all the Lost Clan. Zichin said, In addition to this world, I have a way to open up another world within a world which is more suitable for people who cultivate soul power. If we come here, will we have to live here forever? Tasha asked. Of course not. Zichin said with a smile. If you want, you can leave by teleportation at any time. However, I don't recommend you to do so in the early stages. You have to wait at least a few hundred years for everyone to slowly accept your existence. It won't be too late to leave then. Zichin pointed to the empty area below and said, At that time I will draw out some cities for your people to live in. In the early stages, you have to adapt to this world first. When the time is right, I will set up some teleportation formations in these cities. You can teleport by yourself in my world, contact others, and even exchange resources. When everyone in this world recognizes you, you can go out. This is a matter of great importance. I have to go back and discuss it with my people, Tasha said. Okay, Zichin said. During this time, you can tour this world by yourself. If there is a place you like, remember to mark it and tell me. Zichin left Tasha behind. He returned to the city and went to see Jolene. Although the outside world was constantly cursing Zichin, the Tianwu world was still prosperous and lively. Many forces wanted to re-enter this place. Perhaps some of these people had discussed everything with Zhou Lina before returning home and starting to curse. Zichen was not in the mood to guess these things. After asking Zhou Lina about the situation, he gave a few more suggestions. The final decision was still in Zhou Lina's hands. Whether or not to accept it was also up to her. Are you really going to bring the Vestigial clan to the Holy Thunder clan? After everything was explained, Zhou Lina asked about the recent rumors. That is a huge force. After coming to the Holy Thunder clan, it will increase the overall strength of the Holy Thunder clan by a lot, Zichen said. Unfortunately, they won't agree, Zhou Lina said regretfully. Zichen smiled. Even you can see that they won't agree. It seems that it won't work. Your current status in the Holy Thunder clan is already very high. If you facilitate this, won't you soar to the sky? How will the others live? Zhou Lina was still the one who saw things clearly. Of course, the concerns that Lei Jinka mentioned did exist, but they were not the real reason. The main reason was the issue of balance. Even Lei Jinka, the #1 person in the Holy Thunder clan, didn't want Zichen to rise so quickly. However, their move also gave Zichen a second option. This option was to bring all the Vestigial clan into his world. Lei Di knew, Lei Jinka knew, and even the city lord and the opposing forces were very clear about it. Why were they unwilling to see the Vestigial clan enter the Holy Thunder clan, but happy to see them enter Zichen's world? This was also related to benefits, because entering the Holy Thunder clan was a great merit. However, if Zichen was the only one who incorporated them, it would have nothing to do with the Holy Thunder clan. Naturally, it would be impossible to get rewards from the Holy Thunder clan. A few days later, Zichen learned about the latest developments in the world and returned with Tasha. However, this time he didn't take the flying boat. Instead, he used his authority to take the transmission array directly. Chapter 41-27. After arriving at the Lost World, Zichen once again stepped onto the teleportation array. This time, he was directly teleported to the Blood Dragon Canyon. Then he used Xiaolei's teleportation talisman and arrived at the city where the Vestigial clan had already retreated. During this period, Tasha had been following him. Even after returning here, she did not give Zichen a clear answer. But Zichen was not in a hurry. As long as both sides maintained a friendly relationship, it would be a great thing for the Holy Thunder clan's journey to the depths of the Lost World. Tasha left that day. Outside the city, Zichen sensed a powerful aura. It should be the Vestigial clan who had come to pick up Tasha. Zichen went to check the harvest of the mineral vein. In the process of going underground, he felt a strong soul power aura. The crystals produced here were full of extremely strong soul aura. Although they were not as good as soul-gathering crystals, they were still rare resources. After Zichen went deep underground and communicated with a Thunder Imperial Holy Spirit named Jenny, he learned about the magical use of these soul crystals. Jenny came from the Jella clan and was said to be a direct descendant of the Jella clan. She was Grace's sister. The soul crystals here can greatly improve one's soul power. It is a rare opportunity. Although their soul power is not as good as the soul-gathering crystals of the Holy Talisman Masters, in terms of some magical uses, they are more valuable than soul-gathering crystals. Zichen quietly listened to Jenny talk about the magical uses of the crystals without interrupting, because whether one can become a Holy Talisman Master is no longer determined by talent. We can use soul crystals to cultivate the day after tomorrow. Jenny said, moreover, we named it Soul Life Crystal, which means that it is a crystal that can change one's fate. Zichen's expression changed slightly and said, in that case, as long as the crystals here are mined, the Holy Thunder clan will have more Holy Talisman Masters in the future. Jenny smiled and emphasized, not a few, but a lot. Sir, this is also a great opportunity. It is not inferior to the resources of the dragon fiend at all. Zichen was shocked. In such a large resource land, the little elf only asked for 20 soul-gathering crystals. This seemed to be inconsistent with her character. Tasha returned to the core residence of the Lost World. On the same day, several elders came to ask her about the situation. Tasha, who had been holding back all the way, couldn't hold back her emotions anymore. She smiled happily. She was very satisfied with this trip. 100% satisfied. When the elders saw Tasha smiling so happily, they all smiled. It seemed that the effect was not bad. Tasha said, "Their world has no power to suppress them. They're beings that are stronger than the Holy Spirit. Once we reach that world, I think we will be able to see someone like the Holy Spirit." "Are you sure?" an old man asked. "I saw it with my own eyes," Tasha said. "However, the people there are not friendly to us, and Zichen's Holy Thunder clan doesn't welcome us either." The expressions of the elders all changed. Since they didn't welcome him, why were they so happy? Tasha continued, "But Zichen has a world, and his world is big enough for all of us to go there." "Zichen has his own world? How is that possible?" An old man couldn't believe it. Tasha said, "The place we live is nothing more than a big planet in their eyes. Zichen has a planet like this. It's very big. I went to see it myself. There won't be a problem. Zichen's force is called the Holy Thunder Clan. In that huge world, there are no less than 10 forces that can be on par with the Holy Thunder Clan. So, our previous choice was right. If a full-scale war really breaks out, I'm afraid that our world will be lost in a few months under their unity." This is under the premise that the Holy Spirit can't come to this world. If the Holy Spirit can come here, the Holy Moon Clan from hundreds of years ago is enough to destroy us. Tasha paused to give the elders some time to digest the news. After a while, she continued, "In fact, this is an excellent thing for us because we didn't join the Holy Thunder Clan. In the future, we don't need to listen to the arrangements of the Holy Thunder Clan. We entered Zichen's world because of the agreement between us. So, our relationship is equal. There is no leadership and no one can command us." Tasha thought about it all the way and couldn't think of a better result. "Is that world reliable?" an old man asked. "It's hard to say at the moment, but it's definitely reliable in the future. Because in my perception, that world is still growing. Even so, it's not a problem to accommodate us now. As for what it will achieve in the future, no one knows." Tasha said, "And that world is open to the public. As long as we gradually get familiar with everything there, we can go to other places in that world through his world. This is what Zichen promised. He won't interfere with our lives, even if all of us leave his world." "Is that Zichen reliable?" The elders were still worried. "Of course he is. Or rather, there is no one more reliable than him," Tasha said confidently. "Why him?" An old man was puzzled. "There are many forces and many people. Why do you insist on that Zichen?" Tasha smiled. This time, her smile was very mysterious. Like many times before, she avoided this topic. "You will know when the time comes." "Then, when will we leave?" "When everything is over," Tasha said. Tasha said, "If I didn't choose the wrong person, then everything here will come to an end." "Oh, right, we can't just sit around during this time. We need to gather the resources for our growth. Leaving the clan is only the first step. Even if we go to that world, we still need to survive. Also, we need to communicate with the other 2 clans. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The news of Zichen's discovery of the 2nd mineral vein was leaked. After knowing the function of the soul life crystal, the world was shocked again. But this time, no one ran over to look for trouble. In fact, as the major forces went deeper, each of them had their own discoveries. During this period, they found some rare resources, which were not few in number. But the discoveries that were as eye-catching as the Holy Thunder clans were rare. All the forces were searching for resources with all their might. During this period, there were constant battles. Only the Holy Thunder clan was quiet. This made many forces unhappy, so they tried to negotiate with the Vestigial clan. They were even willing to give up some resources. Chapter 41:28. The battle was very fierce and there were casualties every day. The Vestigial clan seemed to have gone mad. No matter what those forces said or what promises they made, the Vestigial clan did not agree and attacked even more fiercely. Zi-chan was very clear about this because Tasha had been to the outside world once and knew very well what kind of attitude the various forces had towards him. This so-called friendship was just a temporary peace they wanted. Therefore, those forces who had the intention to deceive were miserable. The Holy Thunder clan, led by Zi-chin, was not affected at all. During this period, the Holy Thunder clan continued to send people over. It was worth mentioning that the Holy Moon clan, who had been rarely seen, began to appear one after another this time, looking for opportunities. Zi-chan walked among the various mineral veins every day and occasionally went out to explore. The task of carefully inspecting the resources fell on the little sprite's head. After all, it was more efficient. Once a large resource was found, Little Fairy would come back to Zi-chan. Then, Zi-chan would only need to pay some soul-gathering crystals to get the mineral vein. The holy spirits belonging to the Holy Thunder clan were constantly moving towards the lost world. Except for the core disciples who were out on missions, almost everyone else who could come over had come. Among them, the few clans who were obviously hostile to Zi-chan were not included. They were led by Lei Zhenghongtian and entered and exited through the lost sky crystal of the Holy Moon clan. Without Zi-chan giving them permission, they could not use the transmission formation. After the core disciples who could be dispatched had been transferred, Zi-chan transferred people through the clans he was on good terms with. Now, the Holy Thunder clan had found 5 large resource lands and needed a lot of manpower. In the end, even the 1-star and 2-star holy spirits on the periphery were transferred by Zi-chan. They were mainly responsible for mining. So far, the Holy Thunder clan was the biggest winner. There were not many battles, but they had obtained the most resources. Many forces were slowly moving forward. They had paid the price of blood to move forward. However, the Sacred Thunder tribe was moving forward very easily. When they were about to reach the depths, Zi-chan had already mobilized nearly 20% of the holy spirits of the Holy Thunder clan. This was a very terrifying number, which meant that almost 1/5 of the Holy Thunder clan was under the command of Zi-chan alone this time. Furthermore, this number was still increasing. Although there were quite a few people from other forces, they definitely didn't have as many as the Holy Thunder clan. They also didn't have as many people as the Holy Thunder clan. After all, the Holy Thunder clan's fees were practically free. They, on the other hand, were carefully selected. They were not as capricious as the Holy Thunder clan and would even recruit 1 or 2 stars. Moreover, the leaders of the major forces who came here only played the role of a leader, unlike Zi-chan, who was in full charge this time. Therefore, those hostile clans who didn't get any benefits from Zi-chan desperately slandered Zi-chan. As long as there was an opportunity, they would firmly seize it and accuse Zi-chan of one crime after another. This led to a strange phenomenon. The more united the holy spirits, led by Zi-chan inside and outside the lost world were, the more notorious he became among the clans. It was almost to the point where everyone wanted to beat him up. Those who didn't know the situation would think that Zi-chan was unpardonably evil. Regarding this, neither the holy sage Lei Di nor Lei Jinka, who was overseeing the Holy Thunder clan, stopped it and seemed to let it develop. After a year, Zi-chan met Tasha again. It seemed that after a whole year of careful consideration, she finally agreed to Zi-chan's previous suggestion and would bring the Vestigial clan to Zi-chan's Tianwu world. In a top-secret place, Tasha asked, "How do you plan to take us away?" After all, if you take so many people at once, you will definitely be besieged by other forces. Zichen said, "Don't worry about this. I have my own arrangements. When do you plan to leave?" Tasha said, "Not for the time being. We need to finish everything here." "What do you mean?" Zichen was a little puzzled. Tasha explained, "It's an ancient curse of my clan. If the curse can't be lifted, then my clan can't leave this world at all." "Curse?" Zichen was taken aback when he heard this and said, "There's such a thing? Didn't we leave last time?" Tasha said, "My situation is special. I can enter and leave freely without restrictions, but others can't." It wasn't that the Vestigial clan hadn't thought of leaving. In the past, they had tried to enter the area controlled by the Holy Moon clan. They had also become members of the Holy Moon clan. But no matter how they used the lost heavenly crystal to set up the transmission array, they couldn't leave this world. There seemed to be a mysterious force in the unseen world that prevented all of this. "What kind of curse is it?" Zichen asked curiously. Tasha shook her head and said, "We don't know the specifics. It seems that our clan exists in this world to protect something. Unfortunately, too much time has passed, and no one knows what it is that we are protecting." Tasha got up and said, "Come with me." At this moment, he stood up and followed Tasha out of the room. At this moment, Zichen was alone in the depths of the Vestigial clan's territory. This was also a sign of his sincerity. Along the way, they encountered many members of the Vestigial clan. From time to time, they would cast curious glances at Zichen, but no one showed any hostility to Zichen. Zichen, who was following Tasha, could feel a strong aura faintly coming from along the way. It seemed that there were many powerhouses in the dark. Tasha took Zichen to an open area. Compared with the surrounding trees and forests, this open area seemed abrupt. Zichen looked ahead, and his expression changed a little. There was an abnormal fluctuation in the space there. Sometimes ripples would surge out, but when he sensed it carefully, he couldn't find anything. "What's going on?" Zichen asked in confusion. Tasha shook her head and said, "I don't know, but the older generation of the clan searched for some ancient books left behind in history. They speculated that the thing we have been guarding for generations may be about to appear." "Oh." Zichen looked ahead, and his line of sight changed a little. "Are you sure? This is a clue we found after we couldn't leave last time. At first, we thought that we were the only ones in this world," Tasha said with uncertainty. Zichen looked ahead and saw that the ripples there were more intense. At this moment, Zichen seemed to perceive a familiar aura. This feeling had appeared once when he first entered this world. However, when Zichen's soul probed forward, he didn't find anything. It should take some time before it appears. Chapter 41:29. After discussing the matter, Zichen said goodbye and left. On the way back, he was still thinking. The familiar feeling from before was very real. It was not like the first time he came in, where it disappeared in a flash. However, he was alone and had never been here before. Where did this familiar feeling come from? After Zichen left, Tasha was still standing in the same place. An old man walked over from afar. "Why did you bring him here?" The old man stood beside Tasha. "Why did you lie to him about the curse?" Tasha looked ahead and said, "The curse might really exist." The old man did not understand. The ancient Forbidden Land appears once every few years, but after entering, we haven't obtained anything. Perhaps it doesn't belong to us in the first place. We are only guardians, and our mission is to protect this place until its owner arrives. Tasha said, "Since it is a guardian, there are naturally restrictions. However, among our people, there has not been a single holy sage. Perhaps this is the curse." The old man asked doubtfully, "Didn't you say that the suppression would disappear after leaving this place?" "That's right. However, that is only my guess. I am not sure, because the place where we are different from those invaders is still there. We have no power. Power? Isn't our power much stronger than the invaders? We are all holy spirits. According to their realm, we can suppress them. The old man said confidently, compared to us, their battle strength is too weak. Tasha shook her head and said, no, the power I am talking about is the power that extends from the body. It is also the power of cultivation. This is something that all holy spirits in the outside world have. In the Blood Dragon Canyon, the dragon fiend power that Zichen unearthed was very useful to them. However, everyone has seen that power. It is useless to us. Tasha pointed at her body and said, their power is in abdomen's position. It is very mysterious. Then she pointed at the space between her eyebrows. And our power is here. They call this power soul power. They also cultivate soul power, but they are not as focused as us. The reason why we are strong is because our soul power can suppress them. However, once our soul power is unable to gain an advantage, they can easily suppress us with abdomen's power. Are you sure? The old man's expression changed. Tasha said, I saw it with my own eyes. It's just that I've never told you why the Holy Thunder Clan was able to occupy the canyon so quickly back then. It was because they had weapons that strengthened their soul power that they were able to suppress those creatures. Last time when I went to the Saint Spirit realm with Zichen, I also heard a lot of secrets. For example, those weapons all came from a place called the Holy Talisman Realm. Zichen said that the people living there mainly cultivate soul force. They have all kinds of soul weapons and are very powerful. Most importantly, that world isn't affected by the rules. There are holy sovereigns there. So, for safety's sake, we have to wait until the sealed area opens again before we can leave. Otherwise, when we go to the other world, we might still be unable to break through. When that time comes, it will be too late for regrets. The old man's eyes flickered a few times before he asked, could it be that you chose Zichen because of the Forbidden Land? Or did you see something the last time you entered the Forbidden Land? Zichen still couldn't figure out where that familiar feeling came from. He raised his head and looked at the sky. The weather was not bad. They continued forward. At this time in the secret chamber, Yu Buhuai of the Holy Moon Clan sneered. This guy ran really far. If our great formation hadn't become part of the rules and started to extend on its own, we wouldn't have been able to see some of his little tricks. Yu Butian said, it seems that Zichen's relationship with the Lost Clan is very solid. Next, he won't have to bear any losses and will be able to obtain great benefits. To be able to do this with his own strength, it's really amazing. Yu Buhuai said sarcastically, so what? His reputation in the Holy Thunder Clan is extremely bad now. No matter how great his gains are, no one will appreciate it. Yu Butian smiled but didn't say anything. Ever since Zichen had challenged him in front of everyone, Yu Buhuai had targeted Zichen. The leader on the side said in a deep voice, this time, no one stopped Zichen from entering the depths. It seems that he can already move freely in this world. Perhaps he also learned about the ancient ruins from the Lost Clan. Yu Butian's expression changed. That's impossible, right? Isn't that a secret left behind by an ancient holy sage? Very few people know about it. Even the Lost Clan doesn't know about it. Perhaps he doesn't know the secret, but he might already know about that place. The leader said indifferently, this time the Holy Thunder Clan's gains are already great enough. We have been watching from the sidelines. If they dare to touch the ruins this time, then don't blame us for being impolite. Yu Butian was shocked and said, leader, you mean? The leader waved his hand and said, don't worry. After all, the Holy Thunder Clan is also our ally. How can we be ruthless? If we kill all the Holy Thunder Clan holy spirits who came here in one go, the Holy Thunder Clan will definitely go crazy. We're going to unearth the ruins of an ancient holy sage. Perhaps there are great secrets inside. But you have to know that there is a true ancient holy sage living in the Holy Thunder Clan. If he gets angry, the entire Holy Spirit domain will tremble. When the time comes, even if we monopolize the resources here, we won't be able to deal with Lei Jinka's anger. The leader's eyes suddenly turned cold. But I believe that there won't be any problems killing some people who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The temperature in the secret room suddenly dropped, and infinite killing intent filled the air. It was obvious that the leader really wanted to kill. They could watch Zichen gain one harvest after another, but they couldn't let him touch the things left behind by the holy sage, because that was their ultimate goal. Zichen returned to the periphery, and then called the little fairy over immediately. He said, "From now on, we will be together. Our main goal is to find large resource veins. As for the matter of devouring, we will talk about it later." Seeing that Zichen was a little anxious, the little fairy asked, "Did something happen? Why are you in such a hurry?" "Time is of the essence. We have to occupy some veins first and lock on to those resources in advance," Zichen said. "As long as we lock on to the resources, we can slowly extract them." The little fairy nodded. This time, she didn't immediately bargain with Zichen. Zichen returned to the Blood Dragon Canyon and then personally led a group of experts into the depths. Chapter 4130. The little fairy turned into a ray of light and flew to Zichen's side. Then Zichen raised his hand and shot out a ray of energy. The energy, condensed from the power of the ancient thunder flame, turned into a huge light shield that covered an area of dozens of miles. An ancient aura surged in the surroundings, bringing with it a strong pressure that spread in all directions. Zichen looked at the people behind him and said, "Leave 20 people behind to guard this place. The rest of you follow me. Like I said, if anyone comes here to steal, it's important to stay alive, but you must remember them and recognize each of them. It'll be easy to settle the score when the time comes." Yes, the 20 people who had already agreed immediately cupped their fists and bowed. The others left and continued to search for the next place of opportunity. Just as Zichen sped up, the other forces also sped up. It was unknown if they had heard something. They began to bring people to the lost world, and the Holy Moon Clan also made a lot of money. At the same time, the lost heavenly crystals mined by the Holy Thunder Clan also began to be sold. During this time, various teleportation arrays had been arranged. As for the price, it was the same as the Holy Moon Clans. They did not deliberately lower the price. Obviously, they could not cut off the Holy Moon Clan's source of income and cause a rift between the two clans. Moreover, many people from the Holy Thunder Clan had come this time. These people would eventually have to return. At the same time, a portion of them had to be kept as a teleportation array for future mining. So the amount that could be sold was not large. The resources of the immortal domain had been mined for hundreds of years, but now everyone still had to go in and out. It was the same here. When the lost heavenly crystals began to be sold, the various major forces quickly came to the Holy Thunder Clan to trade and obtain an extremely large amount of lost heavenly crystals. Of course, this kind of transaction was private, so the price was relatively discounted to a certain extent. When the Holy Moon Clan was the dominant force, they also gave preferential treatment to the various major forces later on. It seemed that within a day, all the forces stopped their internal strife and began to explore with all their might. The battle was still going on, and the Holy Thunder Clan was still the most relaxed. However, compared to the other forces, Zichen did not walk in a straight line. Instead, he kept detouring, trying his best to find resources. During this period of time, Zichen went in several times to see Tasha and discuss some details. At the same time, he also checked out the sealed area. That area was still not completely revealed. Time passed, and 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. The number of Holy Spirits Zichen deployed here had already exceeded 30% of the Holy Thunder Clan's total. They finally walked into the depths, arriving at the sealed land. The bereaved who originally lived here had all retreated and abandoned this place. Over the past few years, both sides had suffered many casualties. The space around the sealed area was violently distorted, as if it could appear at any time. The forces that came from all directions met once again and arrived at the periphery of the sealed grounds. This time, the people of the Holy Moon clan had also arrived, led Yu Batian. Zi Chen had only brought a dozen or so people along the way. Compared to the other forces, he had brought the least people. Among the other clans, there were hundreds of people here. In addition, the other forces, big and small, also brought a lot of people. The news had leaked out a year ago. It was said that this place was the residence of an ancient Holy Venerate, and there were relics left behind by the ancient Holy Venerate. At the same time, it also triggered a heated discussion among the ancient Holy Venerates. It was said that this was a Holy Venerate from ancient times, and was not at the same level as the current Holy Venerates. There was only one ancient Holy Venerate living in the world today, and that was Lei Jinka of the Holy Thunder Clan. He was the well-deserved #1 person in the Holy Thunder Clan, and was also the #1 Holy Venerate in the Holy Spirit realm. It was said that he was a Holy Spirit who lived in ancient times, and he was someone who had seen the turmoil of ancient times. In the Holy Thunder Clan, there had always been a rumor that Holy Venerate Lei Di was also a figure from ancient times. The bereaved living in the lost world also came from ancient times. Zi Chen, we meet again. Yu Biashin looked at Zi Chen and cupped his fists at Zi Chen from afar. I heard that the Holy Thunder Clan has reaped a great harvest this time. Congratulations. Zi Chen smiled and said, no matter how great our harvest is, it can't compare to your Holy Moon clan. You control the entrance, so you are the biggest beneficiary of the lost world this time. Obviously, he was just exchanging pleasantries, and he would not really divide the harvest. Then, Yu Biashin greeted the leaders of the other clans. Unsurprisingly, those leaders were all in the 9-star realm, because they were fighting for the last opportunity. Existences of other levels were not of much use here. There was even more than one 9-star Holy Venerate in those teams. Relatively speaking, Zi Chen's team not only had fewer people, but their levels were also not high. They were all in the 7-star realm, and there was not a single 9-star Holy Spirit. However, everyone knew that Zi Chen's individual combat strength was equivalent to several 9-star Holy Spirits. Therefore, those factions that came, intentionally or unintentionally, would look at Zi Chen with hostility in their eyes. In fact, many factions had secretly formed an alliance, but none of them came here to look for Zi Chen. At this moment, a woman walked forward. She happened to be in the direction of the Holy Thunder Clan. Long time no see. The woman came in front of Zi Chen. Zi Chen looked at her. You came here now. Aren't you afraid that the other factions will make you an enemy? The person who came was Chui Jing, a member of the Chui family. She smiled and said, if they consider me an enemy just because I said a few words to great leader Zi Chen, then they are too petty. Zi Chen said with some disappointment, just a few words? I thought you were here to form an alliance with me. It seems that I was happy for nothing. You are the great leader Zi Chen. Do you still need to form an alliance with others? Chui Jing said, you, who have occupied a celestial crystal mine, have mobilized more people than several major factions combined. And you, the great leader Zi Chen, are a man of your word. As long as you give the order, it won't be a problem to surround this place. Why do you still need an alliance? Because the two of them didn't deliberately suppress their voices. The others around them heard it clearly. Many people's eyes were filled with hostility. The Holy Thunder Clan did have the most people here, but Zi Chen only brought so many people because the others were mining resources and didn't have time to come here. Just like the previous trip to the Immortal Realm, the Holy Thunder Clan was also the biggest winner this time. Some people even privately discussed that the resources Zi Chen obtained for the Holy Thunder Clan might have surpassed the gains of the Holy Moon Clan, who discovered this world. And this place, like the soul-gathering crystal mine in the immortal realm, was the last great opportunity, so no one was willing to miss it. Cui Jing's words made the others vigilant. Once they gained something inside, would they encounter the holy spirits of the Holy Thunder Clan surrounding this place when they came out? After all, the Holy Thunder Clan had the most people here this time. Taking in the changes in everyone's expressions, Zichen said, "You really know how to chat. It's fine that you don't want to form an alliance with me, but you even made some enemies for me. How can our Holy Thunder Clan be so overbearing? We have already gained a lot of resources. This time, we just came here to join in the fun. If we gain something, we'll be happy. If we don't, we'll just take it as seeing the world. Otherwise, we wouldn't have only brought so few people. But if there really is someone who can surround this place, it's the Holy Moon Clan who has the strength. After all, they have 3 mines, and our Holy Thunder Clan only has 1. We came here in the past few years. Who knows how many people have come here in the past few hundred years?" As soon as these words came out, many people's attention fell on the Holy Moon Clan. Some people had the necessary vigilance in their hearts. That's right. Compared to the Holy Thunder Clan, the Holy Moon Clan's foundation here was deeper. "Brother Zichen, your joke is too much. Everyone has paid a fee to come here. All the resources have to be fought for based on their own strength. After all, we have always followed the principle of fair competition." Yu Batian immediately said, "This point is obvious to all." Obviously, Yu Batian didn't want the people of the Holy Moon Clan to become the focus. Suddenly, the others' gazes shifted and looked in a certain direction. The Vestigial Clan had appeared. The surrounding atmosphere immediately became tense. Except for the Holy Thunder Clan, the various forces that had come here had fought with the Vestigial Clan many times. The casualties on both sides were huge. Now that the enemies had met, their eyes were cold. The Vestigial Clan seemed to have not noticed the hostility around them and continued to walk forward. Fortunately, there were not many people from the Vestigial Clan, less than 10. Everyone restrained themselves and didn't immediately attack. A force of unknown origin suddenly stopped them and used words to berate the Vestigial Clan members not to approach. The Vestigial Clan member at the front was Tasha. She didn't argue with those people, but looked at Zichen. Zichen had no choice but to shout, "Everyone, they're my friends. Please make way for them." What if this secret place requires a special power to open? They can also help, can't they? As soon as Zichen's voice fell, some mocking voices sounded around. The Holy Thunder Clan has become friends with the Vestigial Clan. It's really like a cat and a mouse. I wonder who will eat who when there are no more benefits between you two. The Holy Thunder Clan's way of betraying their allies and befriending the Vestigial Clan really surprised us. Although the words were taunting, no one else stopped Tasha and the others. It was unknown if it was because of Zichen's last sentence. Cui Jing looked at the people walking forward and immediately said, "You already have an ally from the Vestigial Clan, so you don't need an ally from the Holy Spirit realm." After saying that, the other party left. It was unknown what her original intention was for coming here. Tasha walked over. In addition to her, there were also Tez and another young man in the team. The remaining 6 people were old and had powerful auras. "Why are you here?" Zichen was very surprised by Tasha's arrival. As for the others' taunts, Zichen completely ignored them. These guys were the typical ones who said the grapes were sour when they couldn't eat them. If they were given a chance to form an alliance with the Vestigial Clan, they would run faster than anyone else. Tasha came to Zichen's side and whispered, "This place is also useful to us. We want to go in." Oh, Zichen was a little surprised. Tasha continued to transmit her voice. "There is a strange energy in this peripheral area. This energy can greatly strengthen our bodies." Chapter 41:31. Zichen had come here many times and chatted with Tasha many times. But this was the first time he learned some secrets about this place. He looked at Tasha in confusion. Tasha said, "The resources here are the foundation of our body's strength. The external power is of great use to us." After coming to this world, the human holy spirits had suffered a great loss. On one hand, they were not good at soul power attacks, and on the other hand, the vestigial clan's physical body was too strong. However, as Ziqin came into contact with the vestigial clan, he found that they did not deliberately cultivate the power of their physical body. They did not have physical strength, but their physical body was very strong. Now he knew the answer. Tasha continued to transmit her voice. "This place opens every once in a while. In recent thousands of years, the frequency of opening has increased a lot. But every time, our vestigial clan can only get some power from the periphery. We can't enter the inside at all, and we will be forcibly taken out." Ziqin nodded. "So that's how it is. This may be the last time we come here. We want to bring some power back." Tasha did not tell Ziqin the whole truth. In addition to power, she actually wanted to see if other people could get the opportunity in the depths. She had also heard about those rumors. In fact, she agreed with them because the vestigial clan existed to protect. However, because too much time had passed, no one in the vestigial clan knew what exactly they were protecting. There were sounds of discussion all around, but most of them were talking about the relationship between the vestigial clan and Ziqin. The battle between them and the vestigial clan was very tragic, and the casualties were great. If it were not for Ziqin's last words, everyone would not be so restrained. When they hated the vestigial clan, they also hated the Holy Thunder clan and Ziqin. After all, they fought so hard, but the resources they got were not as much as the Holy Thunder clan. There were waves of ripples in front, and powerful energy was constantly surging. The abnormal situation was getting more and more intense. Everyone's attention was attracted to the front again. Suddenly, there was a loud tremor, as if a heavy object had fallen vertically. Countless smoke and dust flew, and powerful air waves spread. Smoke and dust swept over. Many people narrowed their eyes, and some raised their arms to block in front of them. Ziqin turned around and glanced at Tasha and the others. Their expressions changed slightly. As the dust settled, a piece of land appeared in front of them. The land seemed to be suppressed in a special space. Ripples were faintly discernible, and the aura of an ancient holy venerate swept out from within. "This is the place," Tasha said. "Are we going in just like that?" Ziqin asked. Tasha nodded. The conversation between the two parties was not suppressed, and the others could hear it. In an instant, several light figures flew forward. Someone went in. When one person moved, the others followed suit. Streaks of light swirled about. Wait a moment. Ziqin noticed that someone on Tasha's side had taken a step forward. He immediately reminded her, "Let's wait for them to go in first." The greater the opportunity, the more difficult it was to snatch it in an instant. These people had special identities. If they rashly entered now, they might cause some trouble. Tasha and the others stopped moving and chose to wait. Among the crowd, not everyone rushed in. There were also many forces like Ziqin who chose to watch quietly from the sidelines. Some people left and some waited. It formed a sharp contrast. Everyone stopped and did not enter. There was still half left. Ziqin looked around, and his gaze finally fell on Yu Butian. "Brother Butian, you're not going in." Yu Butian smiled and said, "No hurry. The Holy Thunder clan can go in first." Ziqin also smiled. "If we go in first, there might not be any good things left." Originally, there were still people who were ready to go, but after hearing Ziqin's words, they stopped and were no longer in a hurry to go in. All resources are obtained by those who are fated. Brother Ziqin, please go ahead. Yu Butian waved his hand and said, appearing very generous, "Let's go." Ziqin did not stand on ceremony and directly walked forward. During this time, Everyone could still see the flickering shadows in the space. Lei Wuxing followed behind Zichen. Other than him, there was also Xiao Lei in the core group. The rest were all core disciples. After Zichen entered, the other forces did not wait any longer and flew forward one after another. Zichen entered the space. There were already many people here, and there were occasional battles. The enemies were some humanoid creatures, and each of them had extraordinary combat strength. After those humanoid creatures are killed, they will be the power we need, Tasha explained. Oh! Zichen's expression changed slightly. He looked ahead and saw a 9-star saint spirit killing a humanoid creature at the same time. After it died, it turned into a pure power and floated in the air. After seeing the power clearly, Zichen's pupils could not help but shrink. This scene was very similar to the strange place Zichen discovered in the Blood Dragon Canyon. The power was also very similar to the Dragon Fiend power. Tasha noticed a change in Zichen's expression and said, "Do you find it familiar?" Actually, the two powers are different. Zichen looked at Tasha and Tasha explained, "The main difference is that the power here is useful to us, but the power in the Blood Dragon Canyon is useless to us." "You know about the power there too?" Zichen was very surprised. Tez said, "Before you came, we discovered that place. It was useless to us, so we did not pay attention to it. I did not expect it to be a treasure in your hands." Tasha continued, "The power here is limited, and it is the only opportunity we can get here. It's the power of opportunity to strengthen the body." At this moment, a 9-star saint spirit who had killed the humanoid creature and refined its power yelled out. Tasha had already explained it before, so Zichen had some guesses about the use of the power. When he heard this shout, he was not surprised, but he was looking forward to it. But soon, Zichen found that Tasha and the others did not move, so he asked, "Aren't you going to fight for it?" Tasha said, "Let's see how you fight first." Zichen turned around and glanced at the others. Everyone seemed to have a tacit understanding and spread out. Since Tasha said that the number of opportunities here was limited, then it was necessary to speed up the battle and fight for more power. In Zichen's vision, a humanoid creature appeared. Or rather, these humanoid creatures appeared at random and just happened to appear in front of Zichen. Zichen's figure flashed, and he instantly sped up. Powerful soul power surged out and attacked in front of him. As soon as he attacked, Zichen felt regret in his heart because the opportunity here was power. Maybe it was the same as the Dragon Fiend power. Soul power might be ineffective. With a thought, Zichen attacked and a powerful attack approached. With a loud bang, soul power began to surge. The humanoid creature in front of him disappeared, and a light of power appeared. Chapter 4132. When Zichen was in the Blood Dragon Canyon, he used his soul power to deal with the flood dragon there, but it was useless. He was even mocked by the little fairy, but it seemed to work here. The energy floated in front of him, shining brightly. Zichen reached out and took it. The dragon aura was useless to him, so he wondered if the energy in front of him was effective. With that thought, the energy entered his body and began to be refined. After the energy entered his body, it began to decompose and entered his blood. As the blood flowed, it entered every part of his body. Wherever it passed, this power would slowly strengthen his physical body. It's useful. Zichen's eyes lit up. At the same time, he discovered the difference between the two types of energy. The dragon aura only strengthened the energy in abdomen, but the energy here strengthened the physical body of the sacred spirit. If one were to use essence, chi, and spirit to describe it, then in the holy talisman realm that Zichen went to, the most powerful was the spirit. The dragon aura changed the quality of chi, and the energy here strengthened the essence of the physical body, which was also the power of blood essence. The formation of the Blood Dragon Canyon was rumored to be that a blood dragon had fallen in the canyon. Its energy was decomposed, and after many years of changes, it formed the canyon today. What about here? It was similar to the Blood Dragon Canyon. Could it be the place where an ancient sacred spirit had fallen? At this moment, many people had gained something and were refining the energy they had obtained. While refining, they did not give up on searching for new energy, so the battles continued. Tasha and the others were still standing there. They did not look for opportunities here, but looked at the battles around them. Although they had observed the battles of the sacred spirits more than once, it was the first time they had seen such a comprehensive battle. All the races had come, and their strengths were obviously different. Other than attributes, there were also different techniques. Everyone's eyes were glued to the battle, because in the continuous battle, they were gradually losing their advantage. Our weakness is our strength. I've asked Zi Qin about this. In their world, there are many defensive items that can defend against physical attacks. They need to defend against our soul attacks, and we need external objects to defend against physical attacks. Tasha said, I've already communicated with Zi Qin. He has his own place to refine weapons. Once he reaches the outside world, he can trade with us. All of them nodded in agreement. By now, no one was debating whether or not they should believe Zi Qin. After several years of continuous fighting, the number of lost tribe members had decreased sharply, while the number of enemies had increased crazily. The gap between the two sides was very obvious. If Tasha hadn't reached an agreement with Zi Qin early on and given them a way out, perhaps the native clan would have already been destroyed. Now they were just waiting here. They were waiting for this place to be discovered. They were waiting for the lost clan's mission to end. Then they would leave with Zi Qin. The path of departure might not be smooth, but the lost race was already prepared for a big battle. Remember their battle techniques. They may be of great use to us in the future, Tasha said. The few people at the back were silently recording every scene in their minds. At the same time, one of them was holding a memory crystal and recording the battle around them. However, what they were able to record were battles where both sides were evenly matched. For example, Zi Qin's battle, where he had swept through all of his opponents, was of little use even if they recorded it. It was pure power suppression. Pum, pum, pum. Every humanoid creature that Zi Qin encountered was killed in one move. Whenever he obtained power, he would refine it in the first place. He could clearly feel the strength of his physical body. Zi Qin majored in physical body cultivation. He was already extraordinary. Even so, the power here was useful to him. This showed how precious it was, at least compared to the power of the dragon, which was useless to him in the outside world. The power here was useful to him. Tasha said that the power here was limited. Killing one meant one less. However, they had been killing for half a month. Everyone's harvest was huge. This trip was not in vain. Moreover, everyone had made great progress. Their physical bodies had been improved significantly. During this period, Tasha and the others didn't hunt a single one. They just watched, observed, and recorded as bystanders. After half a month, the number of humanoid creatures that appeared was significantly reduced. This indicated that the battle was coming to an end. This time, Tasha didn't need to say anything. The other lost race members could already perceive the gap because they had to fight here for about a year at a time. Including Tasha, as the number of humanoid creatures decreased, their faces were full of expectation. Whether or not their guess would come true depended on the changes that would happen next. As the last humanoid creature was killed, all the lost race members felt their hearts in their throats. Usually at this time, a powerful force would appear, and then they would all be thrown away from this place. At this time, a powerful force appeared, which made Tasha and the others almost despair. Could it be that they would never be able to leave this place? However, they soon found that the force that appeared this time was no longer the force that would take them away. Instead, it was a force that fell from the sky. A black shadow fell, covering the sky and the sun. It had the aura of an ancient holy master. It was a huge mountain that was slowly descending. Sure enough, sure enough. Tasha was very excited. Beside her, the other people were also very excited. Some of them had tears in their eyes. For many years, they had only been able to take this step, but today they saw the next step. They might not be able to get their hands on the opportunities here, but this change indicated that their guardian mission was about to come to an end. The other holy spirits in the shadows all moved to the sides, leaving enough space for the mountain to descend. The mountain was descending, and a powerful aura was surging. Zi-chun perceived this aura, and the familiar feeling in his heart became stronger and stronger. The mountain fell to the ground, and the earth shook. There was a towering hall on the mountain peak. The hall was dark gold in color and had a magnificent aura. Outside the hall was an open area with 9 roads extending from the mountain peak to the bottom. In other words, the 9 roads that extended to the top of the mountain peak eventually turned into a road that led to the hall. The 9 roads converged into one. Zi-chun raised his head and looked up. He could vaguely see the shape of the palace. However, when he squinted his eyes and tried to look forward, his vision seemed to penetrate the distorted space. The appearance of the palace suddenly became clear. Not only did he see the dark gold hall, but he also saw the structure of the hall. In an instant, his expression changed drastically. Chapter 41:33. Many years ago, before Zi-chun came to the Saint Spirit world, Lei Tian took out a large hall and gave it to Zi-chun. He said that the hall was called Zi-chun Hall and was the core of the Sky Martial Continent. As long as he refined it, he would be able to control the Sky Martial Continent and become the ruler of the Sky Martial Continent. Zi-chun refined it and then brought the Sky Martial Continent to the Saint Spirit world. He always thought that his Zi-chun Hall was unique, but he never thought that he would see a second one today. What's wrong? Tasha saw that Zi-chun was acting strangely. Zi-chun shook his head and said nothing. There were many similar buildings in the world, so there was nothing strange about it. Zi-chun told himself that in his heart. Zi-chun came back to his senses. At this moment, there were already people starting to climb the mountain. There were a total of 9 paths, and they could only enter from these 9 paths. Some people tried to soar into the air, but just as they approached the mountain, a strange gravitational force appeared, making it impossible for them to get close. There were also people who tried to climb the mountain, the kind that did not take the normal path, but they were still pushed back. Everyone could only obediently climb the mountain, but after they took the first step, it was as if they were hit by a body-freezing technique, and they stood there motionless. Zi-chun was still not in a hurry to go over. Xiao Lei, Lei Wuxing, and the others came back behind him. They were all happy because Zi-chun had said before that the power obtained here was theirs. This power was useful to them. Of course, if they sold it, they could also exchange it for a lot of resources. So everyone was in a good mood. Zi-chun looked at Tasha with a questioning look in his eyes. Tasha was in a good mood. She shook her head and said, "We have never seen this scene before, so we can't give you any advice." "Then let's wait and see." Zi-chun stood there and quietly looked at the people climbing the mountain. After a short while, some people moved and continued to climb the mountain. Looks like it's some kind of test. Zi-chun's gaze moved and looked at the peak of the mountain. The dark golden hall stood there. If it was not for the different color, Zi-chun would definitely mistake it for his own Zi-chun Hall. After a while, the others moved one after another. After moving forward for a while, they stopped again. Zi-chun asked, "You're not going to try your luck?" Tasha glanced at Tez, who walked forward. The moment he approached the passage, a strange force appeared and forced him to retreat. He turned around and shook his head and smiled bitterly. Zi-chun said, "Be careful. We'll go up first." Tasha nodded, and Zi-chun walked forward. Everyone had chosen the same path, and the instant they ascended the stairs, the scene before Zi-chun's eyes changed. Yu Yu Yang was Yu Yang Long. A long use you. Zi Yu Yang's staff killed Yu Yu. A bright light of power appeared, which was of higher quality than the power obtained from killing Yu Yang. Zi Qin directly refined this power, and his vision returned to normal. Looking up at the winding path, he could not help but have a look of anticipation in his eyes. He wondered how much power he could get if he continued to climb. Tasha looked at the 9 mountain paths. They were the only ones here. The others were climbing. Ziqin paused for a moment, then quickly moved forward again. His speed was much faster than the others. In the other directions, there were similar existences. It was as if many light shadows were climbing the mountain. Tasha and the others stood there, silently watching those people climb the mountain. This was the first time they had watched a battle so calmly. The saint spirits of the saint spirit realm had shown them a different kind of style. Each had their own strengths. Once there was a way to counter them, each of their strengths could be maximized. Suddenly, a cry of surprise came from halfway up the mountain. A saint spirit was wrapped in a powerful force and thrown out of the mountain. The saint spirit who was thrown out of the mountain was very unwilling, and he went up the mountain path again. But this time he did not succeed. He was disqualified. He was unwilling, and he cursed, trying to say that he was just careless and that he was not really a match for them. Unfortunately, no one responded. The world was very quiet. Tired of cursing, the saint spirit turned around, glanced at Tasha and the others and snorted coldly, then walked to the other side. At that moment, killing intent rose in his heart, but he quickly weighed his own fighting strength and knew that he was no match for them, so he retreated. Then the 2nd and 3rd saints were thrown out. They landed on the ground, and they were also unwilling. As more and more people climbed higher, more and more saint spirits were disqualified, and more saint spirits gathered. Occasionally, they would look at Tasha and the others, and their eyes were very cold. The eliminated saint spirits had begun to take shape, and they posed a certain threat to them. Sensing their unfriendly gazes, Tess said in a low voice, "Should we retreat first? If we retreat now, it will be difficult to come in again." Tasha looked at the others and said, "Also, they don't have the guts to attack us for now. They are very hostile, and they seem to be ready to attack at any time. Also, they have a lot of people, and we are definitely no match for them." Tess said, "They have scruples about the Holy Thunder Clan, and they all have the power they obtained before. Once they attack us, when Ziqin comes, they will not be able to keep their power." Tasha saw through this very clearly. Although many people were hostile to them, not a single one of them dared to make a move. Or rather, none of them dared to be the first to attack. Because Ziqin had spread the news more than once that he was a vengeful person, and he would seek revenge in the future. Do you think you are worthy of joining the Holy Thunder Clan? Stop dreaming. Right at this moment, a cold and indifferent voice suddenly sounded, carrying an obvious intention to target him. A person with more than 10 saint spirits of the Holy Thunder Clan was walking toward them. It was Li's Henghongfang. Because he was too weak, he was disqualified. The others looked like they were watching a good show. They did not dare to target the Holy Thunder Clan, but the people of the Holy Thunder Clan could. You uncivilized lost clans, what qualifications do you have to join the Holy Thunder Clan? Li's Henghongfang said coldly. Tess and the others immediately showed anger on their faces. What, are you not convinced? Li's Henghongfang said coldly, "What can you do to me? Let me tell you, if you dare to touch us, I promise you will die miserably. Ziqin is from the Holy Thunder Clan, but the Holy Thunder Clan has more than one Ziqin. If you provoke me, even if you successfully reach the Holy Thunder Clan, I will make you die without a burial place." Chapter 4134. The others were waiting for a good show. At this time, it was indeed best for the people of the Holy Thunder Clan to show up. Lei Zhenghong walked forward. followed closely by the holy spirits of a holy thunder clan who had been disqualified. It seemed that they were going to fight. Tez looked at Tasha with a questioning look in his eyes. These people were not strong, otherwise they would not have been eliminated so early. However, their identities were more troublesome, because if they killed them, they might break the agreement with Zichen and cause their migration plan to fail. Right now, this place was completely uninhabitable. Thus, they all had to leave. But if they did not fight, the other side would provoke them like this. Tasha said, "Let's retreat first. We will wait outside." She retreated backward. Who knew that at this time, a group of people would suddenly appear behind them, blocking Tasha and the others' retreat. "Bitch, are you trying to run?" Lei Zhenhong sneered. "Why? Are you afraid of my 2 spears? I'm just curious. Which spear are you afraid of? Or rather, which spear are you looking forward to? You're courting death." Tez and the others had murderous intent in their eyes. Lei Zhenhong sneered. "Come here if you have the guts." At this time, Tasha and the others were attacked from 2 sides. At the same time, people came from 2 other directions. Since the people of the Holy Thunder Clan had taken the lead, they were not afraid. Seeing that there was no way out, the eyes of the people behind Tasha became cold and indifferent. It seemed that they had to fight even if they did not want to. These holy spirits were the first to be eliminated, so their combat power was very low. If they were not afraid of trouble, they would have attacked long ago. Seeing that the 2 sides were about to fight, an indifferent voice suddenly came from behind. "If you really have the guts to fight, I believe I will be very impressed." Lei Zhenhong heard this voice and immediately turned around. He saw Lei Wuxing, and his eyes were immediately filled with surprise. His opponent actually came out? He was the ultimate core. How could he be eliminated so quickly? "You are very good. You have successfully made me lose this opportunity. I will remember you." Lei Wuxing looked at Lei Zhenhong Fong and said indifferently. He did not deliberately emphasize his tone, but it was this kind of calm tone that made Lei Zhenhong tremble in fear. This was because this was a warning from an extreme core. It was not a good thing to be remembered by such an extreme core. "My lord, this is a misunderstanding. It's really a misunderstanding," Lei Zhenhong Fong hurriedly explained. He wasn't so arrogant as to ignore an extreme core. One must know that even his elder brother had once worked hard to become an extreme core. Unfortunately, he failed in the end. What was even more unexpected was that Lei Wuxing, a core member, was actually willing to give up this opportunity for the sake of Zichen. Lei Wuxing didn't look at Lei Wuxing again. To be honest, ever since he came into contact with this famous Lei Zheng family in the immortal domain, Lei Wuxing was filled with disappointment towards this family. If it wasn't for a sacred venerate, such a domineering family would have been destroyed long ago. As his gaze swept across, the people who were previously moving forward all retreated. Lei Wuxing nodded at Tasha, and Tasha nodded in response. The problem was solved. Tasha continued to look at the people who were climbing the mountain. At this moment, the strongest group was almost at the top of the mountain. Lei Wuxing, who had already lost his qualification, came to Tasha's side and deliberately kept a distance of 3 steps from her. There are also humanoid creatures inside, but they are stronger. Of course, the power they obtain is also purer. The higher you go, the better the quality. "We have made you lose this opportunity," Tasha said in shame. "There is no need for that. Zichen will compensate me after this." Lei Wuxing smiled faintly. Along the way, Zichen's enemies were getting stronger. However, their overall strength was still much weaker than Zichen's. Although they were only at the 7-star realm, Zichen was already able to defeat most of the 9-star realm. His journey was very smooth, but he was also a little unsatisfied because he didn't have a good fight. The number of enemies was too small. Moreover, he was not used to this kind of one-on-one because he was often fighting against a group of people. Of course, the main reason was that he didn't have enough power. If he could create 10 streams of power after killing one, Zi-chan would be very happy. Finally, he arrived at the top of the mountain. He was not the first to climb the mountain, but he was the first to arrive. He came to the square outside the main hall. The entire square was paved with unknown stone slabs. In front of the square was a straight path that led to the main hall. Zi-chan walked forward, and he didn't encounter any obstacles along the way. He walked past the square and came to the path that led to the main hall. With just one step, several ripples appeared in front of him, and a barrier appeared in front of him. Looking at this barrier, Zi-chen's expression changed slightly. He took a deep breath, and the power of the ancient thunder flame began to circulate. He clenched his fist and punched out. A storm that seemed to come from ancient times swept across the square, and a thunderous explosion resounded in all directions. Zi-chen's body moved back slowly, and he could feel the pain from his fist. However, the barrier in front of him didn't move at all. Zi-chen narrowed his eyes, and he was a little surprised. The long staff in his hand appeared again, and countless rays of golden light bloomed. He raised the staff again, and his aura was vast and mighty. Gusts of strong wind spread in all directions, and there was a whistling sound. It was still ineffective, and Zi-chen was forced to take a total of 7 steps back. He was so powerful that he could almost defeat anyone here, but he was blocked by an energy barrier. Zi-chen only suffered from the recoil, and he wasn't injured, so he continued to attack. The powerful attack was like thunder, and also like the sound of a drum that shook the sky. Many people who were disqualified flew into the air, and from a relatively safe place, they watched Zi-chen, who was attacking with all his strength from afar. And those who had the strength to reach the top also heard the sound of the drum. Suddenly, everyone's expression changed, because, without them knowing, there was actually another person beside Zi-chen. It was a graceful figure, standing beside Zi-chen, quietly watching Zi-chen attack. No one knew when she appeared, but by the time they noticed, it seemed that she had been standing there for a long time. "What's that?" Tasha asked. Lei Wuxing shook his head and then reminded Zi-chen. But the two of them seemed to be in different spaces, and no matter how Lei Wuxing's voice shook, Zi-chen still didn't respond and was still attacking with all his might, until the second person appeared on the peak. He also heard the sound of the drum, and at this moment saw the scene in front of him. Zi-chen was attacking a barrier with all his strength, and there was a figure standing beside Zi-chen, whose feet were off the ground, and whose body was flickering like a ghost. Her body was sometimes illusory, sometimes real and sometimes illusory. He was stunned, and didn't dare to rush forward. "Little brother, you can't do this." Suddenly a giggle came from beside him. Chapter 4135. Zi-chen turned his head and saw the woman. Subconsciously, he tightened his grip on the black staff in his hand. Her body was suspended in the air, and her figure was sometimes real and sometimes fake. She looked like a real ghost, which was a little strange. Moreover, Zi-chen didn't know when she appeared or how long she had been here. "What are you looking at? Have you never seen such a beautiful big sister?" The woman winked at Zi-chen. Coincidentally, her body had disappeared, and only her eyes were visible, which made her look particularly scary. Fortunately, it was daytime. If it was nighttime, it would be scary. "Who are you?" Zi-chen tightened his grip on the staff and subconsciously took a step back. "And who are you?" The woman didn't answer, but she asked a question with a smile on her face. Zi-chen. Zi-chen looked at the woman, his expression still vigilant. "Who sent you?" The woman pointed at the hall behind the barrier and winked at Zi-chen again. Fortunately, her body didn't disappear this time. Zi-chen suddenly understood and said in surprise, "You're the gatekeeper?" The woman looked at Zi-chen seriously and then nodded seriously. "You can say that." At this moment, many people had already reached the peak, but they didn't rush forward. Instead, they stood in the distance and watched Zi-chen's situation. The woman looked back at those people and said, After the time it takes to burn an incense stick, those who haven't reached the top will be eliminated. Her tone wasn't so polite to others, and the smile on her face had disappeared. Zichen also retreated to the side. Previously, he had attacked repeatedly, but he couldn't shake the front at all. In addition, the appearance of this figure proved that there were rules here that needed to be followed. The others were also waiting. People continued to climb the stairs, and at a glance, there were more than 1,000 people. The figure of the figure was still fading in and out. The platform was silent. After the time it takes to burn an incense stick, the woman's figure looked at the people around and said indifferently, "Those who haven't reached the top will be eliminated." A powerful force suddenly emerged from the 9 paths. Those who were still halfway up the mountain, and those who were close to the peak, were sent flying. The others braced themselves and looked ahead. A new test was coming. The woman looked at the crowd and said, "If you want to enter, it's actually very simple. You just need to survive." Everyone was puzzled. What did he mean by going in alive? The illusory female figure raised a finger and continued. "In other words, only one person can enter. Alone?" Everyone was stunned for a moment before whispers could be heard. There were over 1,000 people here, so what was going on if only one person could enter? Zichen also looked at the illusory figure and could tell that the other party was not joking. The illusory female figure stretched out 2 fingers and said, "There are 2 methods. Do you want to hear them?" The discussions in the surroundings immediately stopped. Everyone looked at the other party, whose figure had become illusory. The woman's figure appeared, and she said, "The first method is simple and violent, which is to fight until the last survivor. The second method was relatively simple, and that was for everyone to sit down and discuss who was more suitable to enter. Personally, I'm more inclined towards the latter, because there's no need to fight. Naturally, there's no need to fight to the death. Wouldn't it be nice to be so amiable?" Everyone looked at each other. Everyone had different backgrounds, so who was more suitable to give the quota to? The discussion started again. The illusory female figure stopped talking and retreated at the same time, as if waiting for everyone to choose. Zichen looked at the barrier behind him, his expression changing. The illusory female figure smiled playfully and said, "Little brother, if you don't ask for everyone's consent, it's impossible to enter. You can only enter if everyone agrees. During this period, as long as one person doesn't agree, then you won't be able to enter." Zichen's idea of entering was exposed, and many people cast cold gazes at him. Zichen retreated. If he continued to stay here, he would definitely become the target of public criticism. He knew that he was very strong, but he was not strong enough to sweep away everyone present. The surrounding people discussed animatedly, and their gazes swept over here from time to time. When they looked at Zichen, their eyes were filled with hostility. Xiao Lei and the other members of the Holy Thunder clan walked towards Zichen. When they walked to Zichen's side, they realized that Lei Wuxing did not come up. They were all stunned and puzzled. Zichen stood there and did not speak, trying not to be too ostentatious. Under such circumstances, being ostentatious would only result in death. "Everyone, why don't you give this opportunity to our Holy Moon clan?" At this moment, Yubutian suddenly said, "I, Yubutian, guarantee that if we can obtain the opportunity, then all the major forces will share it equally." "All the major forces will share it equally? What about us, small forces?" A woman's voice sounded. It was Cui Jing. She looked at Yubutian and said, "There are many forces here, so how can it be fair? Or rather, who should take more and who should take less?" The surrounding people nodded. This was indeed a problem. Yubutian said, "Then I wonder if anyone has any opinions. After all, only one person can enter." Everyone was silent. No one could give any opinions on this matter. There was not even any room for discussion. Zichen looked around. Although it seemed that everyone was silent, they were all secretly communicating. With so many opportunities, It was impossible to give them to any force casually. Even if they could not obtain it, no one else could. It was better to die in glory than to live in dishonor. This was the motto of almost all the forces. The atmosphere was silent. Everyone had their own thoughts. Oh, I forgot to tell you. If you don't want to participate, you can abstain. If you participate, there will be a time limit. The woman's projection stretched out a slender finger and said, "If you can't choose a suitable person within 2 hours, then everyone will be disqualified." As soon as she said that, everyone's expression changed. Almost without hesitation, a battle broke out. Brother Zichen, at this time the major forces should join forces and drive away the other small forces first. Yu Butian's voice sounded in Zichen's mind. Just as this voice was heard, Cui Jing's voice also sounded. Zichen, we small forces are willing to form an alliance with the Holy Thunder Clan. That's right, we're willing to. Then another person yelled, "Unlike Yu Butian." These voices were out in the open. They obviously wanted to form an alliance with Zichen. As a result, the situation became interesting. The various forces did not want to form an alliance with the major forces. They only wanted to form an alliance with Zichen. On the other side, Yu Butian transmitted his voice again and waited for Zichen's reply. The woman's projection stood at the side and chuckled. Most of her eyes were on Zichen. Zichen stood there without moving. The others had already started fighting. The major forces immediately joined forces to drive away the small forces. Only Zichen's Holy Thunder Clan did not move. "Zichen, we can only survive if we join forces. Otherwise, after the major forces drive us away, it will be your Holy Thunder Clan's turn next. Do you really think they are willing to form an alliance with you?" Cui Jing's voice sounded again. Someone had already attacked her. Chapter 4136. Since the battle had already begun, Zichen no longer hesitated. He chose to remain neutral. It was better for both sides to fight first to preserve their strength. As if they had seen through Zichen's intentions, the battle continued to draw closer to him, and waves of aftershocks spread out. If Zichen wanted to remain neutral, of course they wouldn't agree. Protect! Looking at the crowd that was gradually approaching, Zichen only said 2 words. Several holy spirits of the Holy Thunder Clan immediately stepped forward and jointly propped up a defensive light shield, blocking all the aftershocks outside. In another direction, the leader of a large force gave an order. An attack that seemed to have missed its target slanted and landed on the protective light shield. With a loud bang, the light shield began to tremble. Ripples appeared, but it didn't collapse. Zichen's gaze fell to the front and locked onto a person. At this moment, a second attack appeared and, accidentally, landed on the light shield again. The woman's shadow looked at this scene and said with a smile, "Little brother, you can't do this, okay? If you don't join the battle, you will become the target of siege." Boom! 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 More attacks came and directly destroyed Zichen's protection. Kill! Zichen held the staff and shield in his hands, shouted, and took the lead to rush out. His target was the first person who missed its target. Regardless of the other party's identity, Zichen smashed down with his staff. With a loud bang, the other party's body flew out and landed outside the mountain peak. This person was disqualified. Then Zichen's figure flashed again and appeared in front of the second person, smashing down with his staff again. This person was the second person to attack the Holy Thunder Clan. Boom! As expected, the other party was disqualified with a single strike. Zichen's attack was very measured. At least he didn't immediately kill them. Those who were disqualified could only watch from outside the mountain peak. On the mountain peak, Zichen smashed down one person with his staff. There was almost no need for a second strike. Someone in the crowd shouted, "Kill Zichen first. With him here, the others don't even have the right to do so." In an instant, Dozens of energy beams shot towards Zichen. A shield appeared in Zichen's hand. The light dunly enlarged and blocked these attacks. Zichen's figure retreated continuously. The light shield had only blocked a portion of the attacks, but not all of them. This was because many of them were power attacks that were exceptionally ferocious. Fortunately, Zichen's physical body had also improved a lot, so he was able to block most of these attacks. After the first wave of attacks, another wave of attacks came. In an instant, all the attacks were directed at Zichen. Facing a siege, Zichen could only defend himself. Zichen, we're here to help you. Cui Jing rushed towards Zichen and blocked an attack for Zichen. At the same time, 2 9-star Holy Spirits came to Cui Jing's side, one on the left and one on the right. At the same time, several people came to Zichen's side and blocked several attacks for Zichen. The rest of the Holy Thunder Clan stood guard around and fought with others. In short, the current battlefield had become extremely chaotic. It was no longer easy to distinguish who was an ally and who was an enemy. As long as there was an opportunity to attack, allies could become enemies at any time. The battlefield was extremely chaotic. However, the woman's illusory figure stood at the side and watched the show. In her eyes, those life and death battles were just wonderful performances. After a quarter of an hour, more than half of the people on the platform were gone. The forces retreated, and there was a brief pause on the battlefield. On Zichen's side, several people had been eliminated from the previous chaotic battle. Now, there were 5 people left, including Little Ray. Next to him, there were only 3 people left. As for the other forces, there were not many left. Some forces had even been completely eliminated. Relatively speaking, the major forces still had the most people. Everyone retreated to the periphery, leaving the battle zone in the middle. There were bloodstains on the ground, but there were no corpses. The atmosphere was silent and very solemn. Zichen suddenly walked out. His eyes swept through the crowd and finally fell on Lei Hongtian. He said coldly, "Because of your selfishness, you've caused an extreme corps to lose his qualification." Lei Hongtian said angrily, "I don't know what you're talking about." Zichen walked towards Lei Hongtian. "Since you've chosen to be shameless, then I don't need to give you any face." Outside the crowd, Lei Hongtian's face immediately changed when he saw this scene. Obviously, Zichen was going to attack his big brother. This made him very anxious. He cursed loudly, but unfortunately, his voice could not be heard inside. "Zichen, we're all from the same clan now. We should join forces against the outside world." A 9-star Holy Spirit beside Lei Hongtian said in a deep voice. Zichen smiled sarcastically. "You don't deserve to be part of my clan." As soon as his voice fell, Zichen instantly sped up. Like a stream of light, he went straight towards Lei Hongtian. The others immediately retreated. They did not expect that the end of a chaotic battle would turn into a personal grudge battle. However, everyone was happy to see the scene. As Zichen rushed towards Lei Hongtian, several 9-star Holy Spirits rushed out to intercept Zichen. "Get lost!" Zichen shouted angrily. A powerful energy surged out. He had directly mobilized the power of the ancient thunder flame. An all-out attack. Boom! The energy roared. A 9-star Holy Spirit was sent flying and lost his qualification. Zichen attacked again, still at full strength. The vibrating ancient power made many people feel uncomfortable. At this moment, everyone was watching Zichen fight alone. In other words, it was a performance. Those powerful Holy Spirits from the Holy Thunder Clan could not withstand a single blow from Zichen. Often, it would only take one blow to send them flying and lose their qualification. Of course, Zichen did not kill them. There were more than 20 people following Lei Hongtian. Among them, there were 4 9-star Holy Spirits. However, with Zichen's attack, the The strong opponents in everyone's eyes lost their qualification one by one. During this period, even with the protection of the shield, Zichen still felt uncomfortable. He coughed up blood twice. However, he still had no intention of stopping. Obviously, the grudge between him and Lei Hongtian was irreconcilable. Lei Hongtian was anxious outside. Zichen, this damn guy, did not care about the rules. Even if the two sides could not join forces, they should not kill each other. Lei Hongtian stood there and looked at the approaching Zichen. He said indifferently, "Zichen, I will definitely report this to the Sacred Lord. You disregarded the situation and attacked me forcefully. This is against the orders of the Holy Thunder Clan." Zichen came close and swung his staff. The power of the ancient thunder flame surged out. Lei Hongtian's defense was shattered in an instant. Zichen's response echoed between heaven and earth. Get lost. Chapter 40:137. Unsurprisingly, Lei Hongtian was swept away by the staff and lost his qualification. Blood spurted out of his mouth in midair. Lei Hongtian stood in the air outside the mountain peak. His eyes were spitting fire. He had previously communicated with several major forces that the Lei family would get a share of the resources. However, Zichen had eliminated him. Naturally, the previous agreement was not valid. He turned around and wanted to vent his anger on the bereaved. However, he never thought that Lei Wuxing would be standing there. His eyes were cold and full of warning. Humph! Lei Hongtian snorted coldly. He could offend Zichen, but he would never dare to offend Lei Wuxing. Lei Hongtian was disqualified. Zichen's face became pale. He was very powerful and had disqualified dozens of people. However, he had consumed a lot of energy and was also injured. This made many people's faces change. The powerful Zichen was like an injured tiger. Was there an opportunity to take advantage of this? Zichen withdrew his staff and glanced around. Many people subconsciously avoided his eyes. Zichen slowly walked towards the place where the Holy Thunder Clan was located. During this period, many people looked at his back and their expressions changed. What is this called? Letting everyone relax their vigilance in advance? Cui Jing muttered as she looked at Zichen, who was walking back. Zichen was also very clear that the major forces would inevitably take action against him after the small forces were disqualified. This was not surprising, because Zichen had fought several major forces alone and obtained the celestial crystal lode. The others had been holding a grudge against him for a long time. Today, they certainly would not let go of this opportunity to get back at him. But now, Zichen had made the first move and had even injured himself. This was something worth pondering over. In this case, Zichen's threat was naturally much smaller. If the major forces took action at this moment, their chances of winning would be higher. However, there were still many small forces. Once both sides were injured, the small forces might take advantage of the situation. Thus, it was very likely that they would eliminate the smaller powers. But what Cui Jing couldn't understand was why Zichen was doing this, because in the end, the big forces would still make a move against him. Just as he was guessing Zichen's intentions, a person suddenly walked out. The Desolate He clan challenges the Holy Glory clan today. Since it was a challenge, it was naturally not a battle to the death. The originally silent atmosphere changed slightly, and the attention of those who were still hesitating whether to attack Zichen or not was also diverted. A muscular man walked forward. He looked in the direction of the Holy Glory tribe and said, "I am Helienza from the Desolate He tribe. I invite the Holy Glory tribe to fight." The Holy Glory race had more than 40 people, while the Desolate He family only had 5 people left. The leader was the mysterious leader that Zichen had seen before, but he did not participate in the battle. The leader of the Holy Glory clan was a 9-star Holy Spirit. However, he would not participate in the challenge of a clan, let alone an 8-star Holy Spirit. At his signal, an 8-star saint spirit walked out. The two of them cupped their fists and greeted each other. Both of them were 8-star holy spirits of the same realm, but it was widely acknowledged that holy spirits of the same realm were stronger than others. A broadsword appeared in Lienza's hand. After the greetings, he rushed forward. Zi-Chun returned to the team and looked at Lienza. He had an impression of this clan. Back then, Wei wanted to establish his power, but unfortunately he chose the Holy Thunder clan and was defeated. However, today Lienza chose to challenge the Holy Glory clan at this time. This was not simple. Zi-Chun looked at the battlefield and did not understand why Lienza would stand out at this time. Shouldn't he hide his powerful combat strength? It was only 5 strikes. After 5 strikes, the 8-star Holy Spirit from the Holy Glory clan was disqualified and sent flying. There was an uproar. Someone could suppress the Holy Clan in the same realm? Furthermore, the outcome of the battle was decided so easily. Lienza held his broadsword and said proudly, "I challenge the 9-star Holy Spirit from the Holy Glory clan. I wonder if anyone will accept the challenge?" As soon as he said that, the faces of the people around changed again. He actually wanted to challenge someone of a higher realm. How confident was he? Another person from the Holy Glory clan walked out. However, he was not a 9-star Holy Spirit, but an 8-star Holy Spirit. Obviously, as one of the 4 holy clans, the Holy Glory clan could not afford to lose face. The two sides started the battle. This time, the 8-star Holy Spirit from the Holy Glory clan also had a soul weapon. Zi-Chun looked at the battle in front and vaguely understood the He clan's intention. No matter how strong their combat strength was, it was impossible for them to be the last one after the major forces joined forces. Rather than that, it was better to let someone fight in advance and make a name for the desolate He clan. In this battle, both sides were evenly matched. In the end, both sides were injured and were disqualified. The leader of the Holy Glory clan looked a little ugly. The leader of the He clan was still calm. Then, the second person walked out from behind him. "I challenge the 9-star Holy Spirit from the Holy Star clan. I wonder if anyone will accept the challenge?" It was unexpected that the battle would turn out like this. With such a name being called out, the Holy Star race naturally also sent out someone. A 9-star Saint Spirit stood out. The woman's shadow watched quietly and did not rush him, even though a lot of time had passed. In this battle, the 9-star Holy Spirit from the Holy Star clan used all kinds of powerful combat skills of the Holy Star clan. However, he still lost. There was an uproar. "Goodbye." The person from the He clan who held the soul blade cupped his fist at the Holy Star clan and voluntarily gave up the qualification. Then the last 2 people from the He clan walked out and challenged the Metal clan and the Fire clan, respectively. They each defeated a 9-star Holy Spirit. They did not challenge the Holy Thunder clan or the Holy Moon clan. No one knew if it was because the 2 clans had the lost sky crystal. The last leader of the He clan was left. Just as everyone was wondering if he would take the initiative to challenge, he said, "Everyone, the desolate He clan gives up this fight." Everyone was surprised. They did not expect him to give up so easily. At this moment, 2 people behind Cui Jing also walked out. They each challenged a 9-star Holy Spirit. After winning, the 2 of them took the initiative to leave. Then, Cui Jing said that the Cui clan also gave up. Everyone remembered the 2 clans who gave up because they both had soul weapons, which was extremely rare. Many forces had already made up their minds. After leaving here, they would ask the 2 clans if they had any extra soul weapons to sell. After the individual battles ended, another chaotic battle broke out. The major forces still joined forces to defeat the smaller forces. During this period, the Holy Thunder clan was also not spared. The number of people around Zi-Chun decreased one after another. In the end, only Zi-Chun was left. At this time, the smaller forces had all been eliminated. The remaining ones had all given up. There were still nearly 100 people on the major forces side. After all the conflicts were over, the nearly 100 people looked at Zichen with extremely cold eyes. Obviously, it was the Holy Thunder Clan's turn next. Chapter 40:138. In the previous battle, the Holy Thunder Clan had received special treatment. Therefore, the people around them had been eliminated one by one, leaving only Zichen. Zichen stood there alone, his face still pale. Give up? Isn't there only one spot left? Yu Batian said, Brother Zichen, are you so confident that you can defeat so many of us and get that spot? Zichen immediately put away his staff and shield and said with a relaxed expression, Of course I'm not confident. Moreover, we're allies. Why do we have to fight and kill each other? Didn't you say before that there's something inside that everyone can share? So it's not too much for me to stay here and take a share, right? Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect Zichen to say such a thing. But wasn't this too shameless? You only have one person left. Who gave you the courage to share the spoils with the rest of us? We're allies. Why do we have to fight and kill each other? You've attacked many of your allies before, haven't you? You're really shameless. Zichen, don't even think about sharing the resources with us. Before Yu Batian could speak, Yu Buhuai snorted coldly. Don't even think about it. Absolutely impossible. The leader of the Holy Star Clan also expressed his stance indifferently. We refuse to share the spoils with the Holy Thunder Clan. The Five Elements Metal Clan also expressed their stance. Following that, one after another, the major forces expressed their stance. They could share the spoils equally, but the Holy Thunder Clan was not included. Looking at everyone, Zichen said in confusion, What do you mean? Aren't we allies? The leader of the Holy Star Clan sneered. Isn't it a little too late to talk about allies now? Zichen said in a deep voice, You think that because I'm injured, I'm easy to bully, and I'm not qualified to be your equal, right? No one responded to Zichen, but everyone's sneers were already the best response. Zichen's face darkened. It seems that the previous incident didn't teach you a lesson? Since you're so forgetful, I'll tell you one more time. Even if I'm the only one left in the Holy Thunder Clan, I'm definitely not someone you can belittle. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of the major forces turned even colder. In the previous battle at the mineral vein, they had almost become a joke. So many of them were unable to do anything to a mere Holy Thunder Clan. Now that Zichen mentioned the past again, it could be said that it had ignited the anger in their hearts. For a moment, his killing intent was boundless. Originally, everyone wanted to spare Zichen's life, but at this moment, they all wanted to kill him. At this moment, there were not many people still standing on the mountain peak. They had all voluntarily given up their qualifications and did not want to leave. Seeing that the various forces were going to gang up on Zichen, everyone's eyes lit up with anticipation. After all, they could watch the battle up close. However, now that Zichen was injured, they weren't sure how long Zichen could last. It was almost impossible for him to win. No one thought that Zichen could win like last time. I've been underestimated again. Zichen shook his head and smiled. It doesn't matter if you underestimate me, but you can't underestimate the Holy Thunder Clan. After all, once the Holy Thunder Clan is angry, the entire Saint Spirit realm will tremble. After saying that, a weapon appeared in Zichen's hand again. This time, it wasn't the long staff from before, but a long spear. This was the weapon that Zichen had obtained from the Holy Talisman realm. It could be considered as the final reward. A tyrannical aura was released from the long spear, like a spiritual storm that swept out. Everyone's expression changed drastically. This was because this storm actually contained a dense death energy. Zichen smiled coldly. Light flashed again, and a shield that matched the spear appeared. With Zichen as the center, endless death energy spread out in all directions. What grade is this soul weapon? Sensing Zi Chen's current state, everyone's faces were filled with shock. As for Cui Jing, who wasn't far from Zi Chen, she had no choice but to put up a defense. They looked at Zi Chen in disbelief. Clearly, they didn't expect him to have such a method. Only Yu Butian had a smile on his face. The woman's projection sized up Zi Chen. Her eyes seemed to see through Zi Chen's body and saw the essence of his soul power. Her gaze changed. Everyone, I'll tell you one more thing today. No matter what, I, Zi Chen, am definitely not someone you can underestimate. Our Holy Thunder Clan is also not something you can underestimate. Zi Chen held the long spear and rushed forward. At this moment, he challenged the major forces with his own strength again. The major forces weren't scared. When Zi Chen rushed forward, they also attacked aggressively. Compared to last time, the combat power of the survivors here was stronger, and some of them had soul weapons. They admitted that Zi Chen was very strong, but with the absolute advantage in numbers, they were still confident that they could eliminate Zi Chen, or even kill him on the spot. Zi Chen's spear pierced forward, and the defense of a 9-star Saint Spirit was broken. The spear pierced through the Saint Spirit's heart, and with a powerful shock wave, the 9-star Saint Spirit was sent flying. He was disqualified. Compared to last time, Zi Chen deliberately held back and didn't kill. The others watched this battle, and the shock on their faces didn't disappear. As the fierce battle continued, the number of people was decreasing. Under the surging ripples, Yu Butian glanced to the side, and Yu Buhuai also rushed forward. At this moment, except for a few leaders, the experts of the major forces all rushed toward Zi Chen. But it was still useless. After Zi Chen used the spear and shield, his combat power was raised to the peak. One existence after another was eliminated, until there was no one left in front of Zi Chen. Outside the mountain peak, the spectators who had already lost their qualifications were also extremely shocked. The combat power Zi Chen displayed was too strong. At this moment, Zi Chen held the spear and shield and pointed at the leaders and said indifferently, "Everyone, do you have anything else to say?" The leaders' faces were very ugly. Zi Chen had surprised them again. At this moment, even though Zi Chen looked very weak, they still didn't have the confidence to defeat Zi Chen. Just as the leaders were hesitating, Yu Butian suddenly said, "We admit that Brother Zi Chen has strong combat power, but Brother Zi Chen is the only one left in the Holy Thunder Clan. Brother Zi Chen, do you want to give up this opportunity?" Zi Chen looked at Yu Butian and said, "Give up? Yu Butian, was your head squashed by a door or kicked by a donkey? Aren't you the ones who should give up now? Why? Do I have to poke a hole in each of your bodies before you are willing to leave?" The smile on Yu Butian's face didn't fade, and he continued, "Since Brother Zi Chen isn't willing to give up, I have a move that I hope Brother Zi Chen can break." Yu Butian took a step forward and formed a seal with his hands, and a strange power spread out. A gap appeared in the sky, and holy spirits descended from the sky. They were from the Holy Moon Clan. 1, 2, 3, and in the blink of an eye, 8 people appeared. Chapter 40, 139. In the blink of an eye, 8 9-star divine spirits appeared on the mountain peak. They were all from the Holy Moon Clan, and each of them had a soul weapon in their hands. They had come prepared. This scene gave everyone a fright. How could they summon people out of thin air? Even Zi Chen's expression changed. Currently, he was barely able to fight against the leaders. Previously, he was just putting on a show of bravado. The eyes of the woman's projection flashed, as if she was surprised by this scene. Yu Butian smiled and said, "Brother Zi Chen, look, you're the only one left from the Holy Thunder Clan. I think it's better for you to give up now. What do you think, Brother Zi Chen?" "I'm sorry. The word give up has never been in my mind." Zi Chen looked at the other leaders and said, "Everyone, now that things have come to this, What are you still thinking about? Let's join forces to fight against the Holy Moon Clan and divide the resources equally. Hesitation appeared on the faces of the leaders. No matter when, benefits always came before everything else. Unexpectedly, Yu Batian continued. Brother Zichin, you're wrong. We've already agreed to form an alliance. How can you deliberately break up our alliance at this time? When the other leaders heard this, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Zichin was very surprised. Yu Batian clearly had the absolute advantage, but he was still willing to share an opportunity with everyone at this time. Since they couldn't form an alliance, they naturally had to change their strategy. Zichin continued. In that case, let's form an alliance again. Anyway, you don't lack one more person. As soon as his voice fell, Zichin felt the disdainful gazes from all around. But Zichin pretended not to see it. Yu Batian said, I'm sorry, that's impossible. Zichin said, Really? Yu Batian nodded seriously. Just when everyone thought that Zichin was going to fight again, they heard Zichin immediately say, All right, I give up. There was an uproar again. Giving up just like that? Shouldn't he at least persist until the end? Where's his integrity? Didn't he just say that the word give up had never been in his mind? Or rather, where was his face? Zichen's straightforward choice left Yu Batian slightly stunned, as if he couldn't immediately react. Fortunately, his mental fortitude was also extraordinary. He coughed lightly and said, Since that's the case, everyone, can I represent everyone to enter and take the resources? No one had any objections because, at this moment, they didn't have the upper hand. Of course, they would do whatever Yu Batian said. However, what Zichin didn't understand was that there were clearly many powerhouses in the Holy Moon Clan. So why would they let Yu Batian be the leader? The others were not surprised either. They all looked as if it was a matter of course. Yu Batian walked forward. The barrier that Zichin couldn't open no matter how hard he tried actually opened for Yu Batian. Yu Batian smiled and turned his head to look at the woman's shadow. He did not know when she had disappeared. Yu Batian continued forward and arrived in front of the main hall. At that moment, everyone's eyes were on Yu Batian and the palace. Only Cui Jing's eyes flickered as she watched Zichen's back view. Zichin was also looking at Yu Batian. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't disappointed, but he had done his best in this battle. If the Holy Moon Clan could find 8 9-star divine spirits, they would definitely be able to find 8 more. Therefore, Zichin had no way of winning this battle. He could only watch helplessly as Yu Batian obtained the final opportunity. There was no doubt that the Holy Moon Clan was the biggest winner. Yu Batian arrived in front of the main hall. He took a deep breath as his eyes were filled with anticipation. He touched the main hall with both hands and prepared to use his strength to push open the door. At this moment, a powerful shockwave came from above the palace door, directly sending Yu Batian flying. There was a small commotion at the back, but many people's eyes lit up as their hearts were filled with anticipation. How could this be? Yu Batian stood up abruptly. There was an obvious change in his usually calm expression. The woman's shadow that had disappeared earlier appeared again. She looked at Yu Batian and said regretfully, "It seems that you have not been recognized." "Do I still need to be recognized?" Yu Batian said angrily. "I am already the one who has been recognized. Everyone has agreed." The woman's shadow said, "That's true, but you have not been recognized by the main hall's spirit, so you cannot enter." "I don't believe it." Yu Batian rushed forward, clearly wanting to try again. The result was the same. It was even worse because Yu Batian was injured and coughed up blood. The woman's shadow's originally indifferent expression became colder. "If you try again next time, you will die." Yu Batian, who had landed on the ground, was in a daze. How could this be? Is the opportunity here going to end? The woman's shadow said, "You have failed, but it doesn't mean that the others will fail. Speaking of which, there are so many of you. Why did they only send you out?" Are you stronger? Or is your cultivation level higher? Yu Butian's mood could be imagined when he heard that. For the other members of the Holy Moon clan, this was an opportunity. After exchanging glances with each other, they immediately arranged for the next person to be chosen. A 9-star divine spirit from the Holy Moon clan. He walked past Yu Butian, nodded at him, and then walked forward. Unsurprisingly, he was sent flying. The 9-star divine spirit was stunned. He was a little dejected and turned around to retreat. With the Holy Moon clan's divine spirit, no one else had a chance. So they tried one after another. But no one succeeded. Not a single one. The woman's shadow stood there, waiting silently, until all the people from the Holy Moon clan were disqualified. Those who had already given up but did not leave also had hope ignited in their hearts at this moment. The leader of the Holy Star clan walked forward and said, "Do you want me to try?" Yu Butian nodded. At this moment he was still in a daze. The Holy Moon clan had prepared for so long, but they did not expect this to be the result. Under everyone's attention, the leader of the Holy Star clan stepped forward and tried. He was no different from the others. Next was the Holy Glory clan. The 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, all tried one by one, but they did not succeed. All the major forces had lost their qualifications. At this moment, the leader of the He clan stepped forward and said, "Do you want me to try?" No one had any objections because if the major forces had failed, how could the people from the small forces succeed? The leader of the He clan stepped forward excitedly, but then he was sent flying in disappointment. Then the other leaders stepped forward. In the outside world, those who had been eliminated were all regretful. If they had known this would happen, why would they have fought? They might have succeeded. After even Shui Jing failed, Ziqin suddenly said, "Do you want me to try?" Everyone had tried, so they did not care about Ziqin. Ziqian walked forward and walked to the door of the main hall. Yu Butian thought of something and suddenly said, "No, Ziqin, you are not allowed to try." Unfortunately, his words were too late. The moment Ziqin stretched out his hand, an intense light exploded. Chapter 4140. Ziqin had disappeared. The shadow of the woman who had been standing there had also disappeared without a trace. Yu Butian's face was full of annoyance and regret. He should have guessed it. The shadow of the woman had not left for a long time. She must be waiting for something. During this period, she had frequently paid attention to Ziqin. Obviously, she had long identified her target. Under such circumstances, no matter how many people tried, it would be useless. Only Ziqin could succeed. Unfortunately, his reaction was too slow. Everyone around was taken aback. Had Ziqin succeeded? Damn it! Yu Butian rushed forward, wanting to follow him into the main hall. However, as soon as he approached the main hall, a powerful force shook him back. Others stepped forward and looked at the main hall in front of them. Their expressions were extremely complicated. Originally, they had thought that it was impossible for anyone to get the opportunity, so they let everyone try. Who would have thought that it would turn out like this? If they had known that Ziqin could be recognized, the Holy Moon clan would never have given Ziqin this opportunity. They would rather die than live in dishonor. The people outside also exclaimed one after another. They were all in disbelief. On the side of the Holy Thunder clan, everyone had a smile on their faces. Those from the Lost clan were also very surprised. Only Tasha's expression was very calm, as if she had expected this scene. Only at this moment did she truly feel at ease. It seemed that the vision she saw when she entered this place back then was not an illusion. Ziqin stood in a space instead of entering the main hall. This place was empty and nothing could be seen. He looked very calm, calmly looking around, as if he was not surprised at all. In fact, when everyone failed one after another, Ziqin had already guessed that he might succeed because that familiar feeling still existed. "Little brother, you don't seem to be surprised that you are here at all." The voice of the shadow of the woman sounded from behind. Zi-Chen looked back at her and said, "I guessed it before." The woman looked up and down at Zi-Chen and said, "Do you think this is a very lucky thing?" Zi-Chen nodded and said, "Of course." The woman said, "All right then, let's see how far your luck can go." The woman immediately waved her hand. In the next moment, Zi-Chen disappeared from the space and appeared in front of the palace door. Beneath his feet were stone steps that extended all the way to the main hall. "Go on, the thing you want is inside." The woman pointed at the main hall and said, the main hall was less than 1,000 feet away. With such a short distance, Zi-Chen could reach it in the blink of an eye. Even if he walked slowly, it wouldn't take long. "Is it inside?" Zi-Chen asked. He was a little uncertain because it seemed to be too easy. "Of course, it's inside," the woman said with a smile. She seemed to be smiling a lot more now that she was in front of Zi-Chen. However, at this moment, there was a different meaning in her smile. Zi-Chen walked forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. He was very careful, but nothing unexpected happened. This put him at ease, and he continued to walk forward. When he was 90 feet away, a light suddenly appeared in front of Zi-Chen. It was an existence wearing armor, standing abruptly in front of him. Zi-Chen subconsciously stepped back because the aura coming from the other party was so strong that he felt a strong threat. If you want to continue, you have to take a punch from him. After the other party appeared, he didn't say anything. It was the woman's shadow who spoke. "Just 1 punch?" Zi-Chen asked again. "Yes, just 1 punch. After that, you can continue to move forward." The woman's shadow nodded and said, "All right, come on." Zi-Chen got into a stance and stood there motionless. The man's figure flashed and appeared in front of Zi-Chen. Wearing armor, he didn't look clumsy or bloated. He threw a punch. This punch appeared to be nothing out of the ordinary, as if Zhang Xian was intentionally going easy on him. However, in the instant that the punch moved, an indescribable aura surged toward him. It was as if a giant dragon suddenly jumped out of a calm sea, causing a storm. Zi-Chen was hit in the chest by the punch. He could clearly feel a strange power entering his body through the other party's fist. This power instantly filled his body. It didn't hurt his soul power or abdomen, but only his physical body. All the bones in his body broke in an instant, making popping sounds like beans being fried. An indescribable pain surged through Zi-Chen's body, causing a scene from many years ago to appear in his mind. At that time, there was a sanctimonious monk who had used a similar method to shatter his bones. Zi-Chen's body fell limply to the ground as he lost consciousness. The existence wearing armor disappeared after throwing a punch. There was an empty space in front of him, just as the woman's shadow said. As long as he took a punch, he could continue to move forward. Unfortunately, Zi-Chen couldn't stand up. The woman's shadow squatted beside Zi-Chen. Looking at the unconscious Zi-Chen, she clicked her tongue and said, "Just 1 punch, and he fainted. I really don't know how you cultivated your body." The woman's shadow didn't leave immediately. Instead, she sat beside him and waited quietly. She didn't have any intention of helping Zi-Chen. If one looked carefully, they would see that there was a power slowly recovering in Zi-Chen's body. This power was left behind by the previous person. As it recovered, it was also healing Zi-Chen's broken bones. After an unknown amount of time, Zi-Chen opened his eyes and woke up. At this moment, his body was still in unbearable pain. His broken bones hadn't healed, but he could feel the strange healing power. He slowly sat up and crossed his legs to heal his injuries. Before that, Zi-Chen deliberately looked around. The existence who threw a punch had disappeared. The woman's shadow said while Zi-Chen was sitting cross-legged, "You were killed by 1 punch. Your body is too weak." Zi-Chen asked, "Is he a sacred venerable?" The woman chuckled. If only he was a sacred venerable. But how can there be such a weak, sacred venerable in the world. Zichen was shocked that someone who wasn't a sacred venerable had knocked him out with one punch. However, the most important thing now was to heal his injuries. After an unknown amount of time, Zichen's body had completely recovered. He opened his eyes. The reason why he could recover so quickly was that there was a strange power in his body. This power could quickly heal his body. Zichen stood up and looked ahead. The woman's shadow said, "Congratulations. You can continue to move forward." Zichen glanced at her. The woman's shadow smiled and nodded, encouraging Zichen to move forward. Zichen took a deep breath and continued to move forward. There were no accidents and no dangers. He moved forward smoothly. However, after another 90 feet, another existence in armor appeared. Zichen wasn't sure if it was the previous person. The woman's shadow spoke on his behalf. As long as he blocked one punch, Zichen could continue to move forward. There was no other choice. Zichen chose to accept. Another punch. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.